Happy Tuesday, everybody. What a show last night. Thank you, everybody, for being there. I appreciate your support and your chat and everything that you guys are doing yesterday. Thank you to all the mods and everybody that was putting in the links while I was interviewing Susanne. Oh, good evening, Pam. It was. And the post-interview show was a lot of fun, too. Little after party we had. I did, when we got done, I'm not the post-interview show is not deleted. I just put it on private for a few days because or I'll probably make it available after the show is over. I wanted to make sure that the last video I had up overnight was the interview and not the after party. So that's why I went ahead and made it private. That way I didn't, it's not gone. I'll have it back up there. What a fun night as well afterwards. And thank you for Mama Bear and Justice for being up there on panel with me. Kevin there for a slight minute there. Appreciate you, even though you're at work, you hopped on. And yeah, it was some interesting stuff. I won't say what happened. It'll be a surprise. But I'll make it public after this show's over. I just wanted whatever focus that did come to my channel, I just wanted it to be on her. So that's why I made it private. Good evening, Dre. And speaking of, I got some merch pictures to show you guys. Dre and Kib Kitty sent me some pictures today. What do you think about that coffee cup, Dre? I tried to rewatch that. Yeah. Yep, it's private right now. I'll be making it public probably after the show's over tonight. In fact, after the show's over tonight, I'll go ahead and make it public. I just wanted to have the focus be on Susanne. What a humble, sweet, beautiful person. I can't thank her enough for being up there last night with us. Thank you again, Susanne, for allowing us to host you and just focus on the standing for Steve and the things that you accomplished. I hope to have you back on in the future. Everybody who knows that's been chilling with me this whole time, whenever I go into Google mode, I'm like a different person. So, and last night I was just like just to be able to talk to her and just hear her message. But when I went to Google and then we did the Google stuff and she was kind of helping me out, it was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh my gosh, Google CJ has some help. What's up, Mama Bear? Sorry, I'm getting the chat here late. Kib Kitty. That's weird. It's showing the K now. Did you get your new picture? The zoomed in one? Cheers, Phantom. Cherry was having popcorn last night and I was like, "Where's Phantom? Phantom with the popcorn." It was good stuff last night. It was fun. It was definitely fun. Just hanging out, bullshit, and did some crazy shit last night. We got something coming up soon. Open panel karaoke. You'll definitely want to check out the post interview after party show though. Seriously, it was fun. And thank you again, Grizzly, for the intro there. Appreciate it so much. I feel like I'm a professional now with that intro that you made for me. Good evening, SRB. I'm in such a good mood still from last night. ATS, thank you for hopping in. I appreciate you. Speaking of ATS, when's your next show, ATS? Is it Friday? If you want to tell us what you're going to be going over, if you want to let us know time and date. And let's see, yes, it's good to see you, Phantom. Appreciate you. Awesome show. Aw, Pam. uh, you're such a beautiful person too. Thank you, Pam. Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I hope you guys are feeling it. Well, I'll put it back up, Pam. It'll be posted again and y'all can check out. All I'm gonna say is you'll want to watch it till the very end. You'll want to watch it to the very end. But don't miss the beginning either. It was good times. It was just great. Yes, it was fun. Oh, now you just reminded me of them damn tingles, Mama Bear. Oh, I love you guys. I literally could hear what was being said and didn't think you could hear me. I don't know. It was kind of hard to hear you. I don't know what was in the back. What was in the background? That some kind of machine or something. It's gonna lurk, but then you gotta call me. It's open panel tonight. We're going to be doing open panel, and we're going to be going through all these voice interviews. I believe Corporal Duncan completed all those voice interviews, and I was listening to some of them again today, and two people really stuck out to me. And these two people, StreamYard went nuts here. Two people stuck out to me when I was doing some research today at work. Two people stuck out to me. These two people were together that night. These two people have an interesting story when it comes to that night. And then when you look at these two people, and I should say the vehicle, and then you go back to the speculative, self-admitted older gentleman boyfriend of Stephen, and what he states Stephen was expressing to him about where some harassment was coming, you start thinking about these things, and you go, whoa, wait a minute. So we're definitely gonna have to do some brain stewing tonight. What's up, Grizz? Thank you. I told her, she said thank you again, for allowing Steven's voice in this case, and just the whole everything about it to just keep being talked about. And, I said, no, 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 no. Thank you for allowing us to host you and being able for you to have your message out there. Um, so, just real quick, I just want to share this again, real quick. And I do have to kind of cut off the HTTP of this to fit. But if you have not signed this hate crime bill, you don't have to necessarily reside in South Carolina. The South Carolina signatures obviously do mean the most, though. And it's continued to pass in the House. The Senate is where the problem is. And so if you live in South Carolina and you are gracious enough to sign this, if you could also please contact your local senators and also push this bill as well. There's a lot of assumptions that this is a specific hate crime bill for a specific group. And so the feeling is that's why the Senate isn't necessarily taking it seriously. South Carolina and Wyoming are the two only states that don't have hate crime bills. And we need to get caught up with the time. So please sign it, even if you don't reside in South Carolina, because signatures make a difference. We're at 3,145 and we need 5,000. Got to get to 5,000. So any signatures matter. South Carolinians, those matter obviously the most. Please contact your local senators. Reach out to them. Let them know how much you care about this bill. Let them know how much you feel this bill should be introduced, accepted, signed, passed, all of the above. So let's help her out, please. And share it to your friends. Share it on your Facebook. Share it on your Twitter. Share it on your Instagram. Share it everywhere you can share it. 5,000. It's not that much. I think we can get this to happen. So I just wanted to reintroduce that again. Let me get back to chat here, and I'll leave this up here as I get through it. Yeah, I will put up, I will make it public after the show's over tonight. So, check it out, check it out. Look forward to your show Friday, ATS. Yes. Aw, thank you, Ava. I appreciate your guys' kind words. I really do. Because honestly, like, I didn't even have the time to eat. I didn't even have the time to organize my notes. My notes were all over the place. After it was over and as I was laying back through the night, I was kind of replaying the interview in my head, and I was like, I wish I would have. I was like, oh, I wanted to ask this question and I wanted to ask this question. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have had my notes organized, because I really was I was planning on having my notes in an outline and everything. So I was just writing notes freaking everywhere, man. Like it was everywhere. It was sideways, upways, upside down, folded this way, circled to focus on that one more than the other notes. I mean, it was nuts. So when the show started, because at first I was like, yeah, I'll just eat something after the show and then I'll get my notes. And then by the time it got there, then I was like, I can't get my notes and I can't get nothing to eat. And I'm like, crap. So I appreciate that, the kind words, because really last night, maybe it didn't show, but it was pretty unorganized on my desk. So I just wish I would have had my outline, but next time, but it's okay. It was even just kind of getting to the final details and stuff. It was pretty close, but it was what a wonderful person. I'm so glad that we ran into her. Seriously. What a beautiful story. What a beautiful person. Um, what a beautiful soul. There's not very many like that on this planet, and those are the ones that should be appreciated and lifted up, because those are diamonds on a beach full of sand pebbles. Those are diamonds, and she's a diamond. I wanted to go back and listen to you last night, but I didn't hide it. I just wanted to leave the focus on her for the night. That's all. To go into ninja, I know what that mode is now, even though it don't show on StreamYard. See, I just get a square, but it's ninja mode. Jinky mullet. I thought the experiments combo was interesting. Yes, we're gonna be going over all that. Oh, look at that. Check mark. I meant to contact. Yes. Got your daughter interested in the case? I'm glad you're home safe, Dre. Yes. Yeah, she didn't have time. And honestly, everybody, like, she was only scheduled to do a half an hour. I told her she could have the whole show if she wanted. She was scheduled to do a half an hour. And she blessed us with an hour and 5 minutes. Like I it was amazing. Like, yeah, so I would love to. What I'm going to do, I wanted to let everybody know this too. And I think I should probably put a comment in the interview video. But I know that there was questions being asked through the show and through the interview and everything. So I am going to sit down, rewatch the interview. I'm going to look at the chat replay, and I'm going to make sure that every question that I did see show up on the interview, I'm going to write those down, and then we'll get to those ones first. Okay, so I want to let everybody know that I did see questions, even though I wasn't able to really pay attention too much to chat, just out of respect to Susanne. So I'm going to go through it. I'm going to write down all the questions that were asked, and I'm going to make sure. So, and then I am, well, I'm sure we'll get together again in the future. Not just about the questions, but more stuff about Stephen's this bill. There's so many things that that's going to be taking place. So, and I totally appreciate her for taking the time out of her life to bless us over here at the Evil CJ show. So much appreciation. And Friday night, we're going to be doing games, everybody. We're going to be doing Jackbox and casino and all sorts of stuff. All right. Thank you so much. And let me see here. I'm going to switch to this real quick. This is a link from Pam. I think Pam sent this. You sent this to me, right, Pam? Oh, hold on. 1 second. We got to show some stuff here real quick. Okay, we got to show this real quick. Dre got her Evil CJ show mug today, so I wanted to show that real quick. And if you don't see the description or the link pop up in the chat, you can always go to the video description, and the video description also has the link to the store. But we got this one. Let me see. Then we got, and then see, this is another thing I did custom Dre on the coffee cup. It might be hard to see on the stream, but I think we're good. Ain't that beautiful? Got the hoodies today. That looks so cool. All right, and then Kib Kitty's Evil CJ show zip up hoodie. So neat. Thank you for sending me those pictures. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoy them. That coffee cup is the shit. I gotta get me a hat still. I still gotta get me a hat. Nice. How much time do you got off, Phantom? I missed it. Who's still in ninja mode? Phantom, kick back and relax. But CJ figured it out now. What is on the screen? There will be kick back and relax time. There will also be get up and go do some gardening. Ooh, gardening. Yeah, sometimes it can be, right? Sometimes not. Thought about trying to jump up on panel tonight from at some point. Well, I'm going to open up panel here in a second. I'm going to read through this article real quick. Guys, slept through the show. Oh, nice, Pam. About Stephen Smith. Yes. 10 days off. I know. I need a hat. I was thinking about trucker hat with just a plain Evil CJ show. All right, let me read through this article here. I got to drink some coffee too. Read through this article, and then I'll open up panel and we'll get into these voice messages tonight. Let's get this. Let's crack down on these voice messages. I'm telling you, once we get to what I'm thinking, because I can tell you names right now and you'd just be like, what? But when we start getting through it, and then when I say, pay attention to this part. Yeah. So if you have a notebook and a pen while we're waiting for open panel and I'm kind of reading through this article, go ahead and grab one because we're going to need it tonight. We're going to need a notebook, a pen, pencil, whatever you can take notes on, because there's going to be a lot of different people, a lot of different connections, a lot of different things being stated. We need to keep who said what, but we also need to know who is connected to who, because there's a lot of different theories that we're going to be going over, and we're going to have a show on each theory. Okay, so we need to figure out this connection pegboard, post it with red yarn connecting stuff. I'm ready to. I'm excited, especially when I came across what I came across today. I was like, I really want to dig into this one because I don't know, it's just interesting. Ready to watch a new true crime docu-series that'll make your head spin? Murdaugh Murders, a Southern Scandal is streaming on Netflix, telling the story of the wealthy Murdaugh family in South Carolina. The three-part series chronicles the string of deaths that the family is connected to, include Mallory Beach, who tragically died in a boating accident. Now, I don't have Netflix. I thought about getting Netflix again just for some of these because there's an MH370 documentary I want to watch too. Thought about having a show on that one night. Got some stuff saved for it. But anyway, I heard this Southern Scandal. Isn't there like a Low Country or something documentary out too? Yeah, I've been hearing these documentaries are excellent, and I'm kind of jealous because I want to watch them. So I might get Netflix for a month and then just cancel it again. Murdaugh Murders includes interviews with friends of the family, former and current, who shed light on the patriarch, Alec Murdaugh, and all of the trouble he's caused. Not only is it believed he swept crimes committed by his family under the rug and has been involved in fraud, but he's also been accused of murder. Currently, Murdaugh is on trial for Murdaugh for the deaths of his wife, Maggie Murdaugh, and their son, Paul Murdaugh. The two were shot and unalived in June 2021. Let me see here. Kelt? I'm not sure. I know Kelt's been doing a lot of stuff lately. She's been hopping in. She was in both shows last night. The Eagle family. Oh, you got an eagle over there, huh? Nice. I wonder who's getting the royalties from all the shows. Ooh, that's a good question, and thank you for hopping in. I love your icon picture. I love it. I really do. Thank you for hopping in. I appreciate you. And thank you for hopping in last night for the interview and some of your friends that came with. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And of course, the views, opinions, articles, videos, or media in this show and comments in the channel do not necessarily reflect or represent those by the Evil CJ show. I fell asleep to the MH doc last night, but it was good until then. I'm thinking about getting Netflix for 1 month. I really am. But that shit's expensive, yo. Hey. Yes, thank you. Good evening. F-15s are better. What the fuck? Yes, we appreciate you so much. Thank you. For real. All right, back to this article. Years before Maggie and Paul were killed, there was another murder in South Carolina that also might have ties to the Murdaugh family. That would be Stephen Smith, a gay teenager who was found dead in the street in Hampton County. Stephen was classmates with the eldest Murdaugh son, Buster, and witnesses at the time of the initial investigation suggested they may have had a relationship. Also, they were on the same baseball team that Alec was a coach of. Of course, the rumors began from there, with many speculating the Murdaugh family might have unalived Stephen. Stephen's murder was ruled a hit and run, with no one arrested for the crime, but in 2021 the case was reopened. What's the latest on Stephen Smith's murder? Evidence in Stephen's case was found during the investigation into Maggie and Paul Murdaugh's murders, though, according to People magazine, those findings were never made public. Of course they weren't. And it was literally 2 weeks after the investigation started that all of a sudden they found something that made them say, whoa, we need to reopen this. Of course they're not going to tell us. This did, however, cause the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division to open up the case in June 2021, but at this time it doesn't look like there have been any new developments since then, In January 2023, it was confirmed that the investigation is still ongoing. According to News Nation, Stephen's mom, Sandy, is hoping for answers about her son's unaliving during the Murdaugh's trial. She also says she's received a book deal offer and even a Netflix movie opportunity about the case, but she turned it all down. She just wants to know who is responsible for murdering her child. You know, it's she says it's not, there is no closure because you can't have it. What you can have is answers. And that's what this sweet lady deserves. Sadly, the latest update in the Stephen Smith case came back in 2021, but with Alec Murdaugh on trial, or was on trial, because this is 2 weeks ago, this article. And with the release of Murdaugh Murders, a Southern Scandal, we're crossing our fingers we hear more development soon. We'll keep you updated if and when we hear anything. And I have a really good feeling there's going to be some stuff coming out, and I can't wait to get into these recordings, because when I tell you what I'm thinking could be another plausible theory, in my opinion, it's going to make you go, I don't know if necessarily Buster was even there. Because these are two different people that were together that night, and one of them fucking puked after he told his dad something. He went outside and fucking puked. And you don't puke with what he was telling his dad. So I wonder what made him puke. What's up, Lone Wolf? I love your emojis in your name there. I love emojis. It's like cartoon and chat. Good evening. Thank you for hopping in. Appreciate you. And thank you for hopping in last night. I'm sorry to anybody that was new that hopped in last night during the interview. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to chat, but I hope you understand. Look at that, Ava. Like he knew something enough. I'm telling you, I'm excited. I'm excited to tell you what I freaking heard today, but I can't because we gotta go through these voice recordings. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the panel. If you'd like to join, you're more than welcome. We got probably an hour and 40 minutes of voice messages, recordings that we're going to be going through. So just keep that in mind. And we got to get this stuff figured out. We got to get these voice messages down. I want to get all these different theories mapped out. And each show is going to be each theory that's mapped out. And we're totally going to devote the whole freaking show to each theory. Even if we end it early, we're knocking out each theory. We're gonna keep talking about this case. We're gonna keep making sure that this case is on people's minds. And we also need to explore all these different theories, because who knows? What if there's somebody out there that hears this other freaking theory that Ellie can't talk about, or Susanne can't talk about, or other people can't talk about? But what if somebody else hears this other theory and then goes, wait a minute, I know that this person was over here around this time and this and that. And that could be the tip from whoever that could lead to this case being solved with the right answers and not the made up ones. Good evening, Kevin. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good.
You get some good sleep?
I wish.
You wish?
Yeah, I gotta flip my whole sleep cycle for my meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., then get back onto being up all night for Thursday night. So, it's gonna be a
Oh,
fun
for
couple
work?
days.
You got work Thursday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They don't
You
seem to
you got
understand
you
that
got
night shifts, we sleep different hours than day shift, but whatever.
yeah. It's a different animal working them hours, my friend.
Oh, I know. I've done night shift for years, but I've never had to switch my sleep cycle once a month for a mandatory safety meeting that we literally learned
Ah,
nothing at. It's like
yeah.
we deal with the stuff every day. We don't need the refreshers, and the little bit that we do
Yeah.
get, you could schedule a half-hour meeting when we're done.
Well, why don't they just have somebody come in on the night shift and do the meeting then? Because I would assume that's what.
Well, it's scheduled for 5 hours, but we're almost never there more than two or three.
Oh, jeez.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
if anybody would like to hop up, feel free. We're going to be getting into these voice messages here in a minute.
alright. I am about to hit start on the laser, so I gotta move. Because last time I had it running, everybody was, it's so loud.
Yeah, and we definitely need the audio crystal clear tonight. That way we can focus on what they're saying in these voice messages and such.
Right, that's why I'm hitting start and walking out of the room and not doing something that's flammable.
All right. Well, just letting you know, man.
I know. I don't hear anybody complaining yet.
I can hear it though.
Yeah.
So I'll end up just hit me in private chat if you need unmuted. If it gets loud, I'm gonna have to mute you. I'm just giving you a heads up
I'm already out of the
because we
room.
do need that. We do need that audio clarity. They can zoom in and rewatch it. And probably,
I said I was walking away. I had to make sure it was running right.
yeah. All right.
But
So where's that other link here?
I thought we had like 5 or 6 people that were joining
All
tonight.
right,
Why am
so
I the
let
only
me
one
get.
here?
See, Kevin, I hear it. Mute, son. Yeah, they're more than welcome to when anybody would like to. And let me see. Let me go to the first interview, or not the first video here. All right. Now, my notes are all over the fucking place. So, unfortunately, I don't know where my times are for this, but I have a really good idea of where these voice messages start. All right. So first we're gonna go to the first responding officer. Not necessarily a voice message, but it's gonna give a background to kind of what we're getting into here. And there's the picture. There we go. How you doing, Kitty?
Hey, I don't know how that got on there. It's been acting
The
all
red K.
crazy.
Oh, weird. Now it's showing
No,
your poker chip.
yeah, it's showing the. No, on my phone, it's showing that new one you sent me.
Whoa, that's weird. Yeah, I could definitely see it a lot better now. Looks neat. All right. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. It was a long day. I meant to get a hold of the Senate and voice my opinion, but it was very hectic. So,
Well, hopefully tomorrow.
how are you?
We need to get some more signatures on that. I'm doing good. I got me a little nap before the show, so I'm feeling good. Ready to get into
That's
these
good.
voice messages and share with you guys what I'm thinking. Because I don't know. I really want to dig into this one, but we'll see. I want to see what you guys think, and I think you'll think the same thing I'm thinking. But
Okay.
we'll see.
I love
We'll
you.
see how that goes. I miss seeing the cat.
Say what?
There's her new pic. Yeah. Does who have Facebook? Oh, Kevin Kraft for the business. Yeah. If anybody has the link to that, if they can throw it up there real quick. And let me see here. So
She's
this
asking
is.
if you have Facebook.
Oh, if I have one, yeah. Just look up first name Evil, last name CJ.
And don't mind Kevin Kraft giving him grief about kicking his butt and pull, because we all know it's going to happen.
Well, that's on game night. We got to get it to work first, my friend. We've tried for, 3 hours total, probably? Maybe 4? Haven't got it
Possibly.
to work yet, so that we got.
See,
gotta get it
I'm
to
pretty
work
sure
first.
you know it needs to happen. You're just scared that I'm going to win.
No, I really don't know how to make it work because I'd rather not sit there for 2 hours each night trying to get it to work and it not work.
I know,
So,
but I'm
trust
just
me,
not letting the trash
if I
truck
knew how to
stop,
make
dude.
it work, I'd make it work. Oh, yeah. Well,
Oh, and don't worry if I lose. I got lines ready for that too.
you got what?
Then don't worry if I lose. I've got lines that are ready for that, like you're hacking or you cheated or.
Oh, you already prepped it. You got your own prep
yeah,
going
absolutely.
on over there. I got
Hey,
you.
you can't trash talk and not have backup lines ready in case you actually lose.
We all play chess, don't you? I'm gonna play. Me and JSD are gonna play a game of chess on a show one night, and Grizz is gonna hop in. So if you play chess, you should too. Anybody else that plays chess as well?
I haven't played chess
I love
in
chess.
years, but I actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a fun game. All right.
Yeah.
So get your notebooks out and your pens if you're going to take notes with us. This is basically the background to what we're about to get into. These are voice recordings from the first responding officer, I believe, and what he states is what he thinks took place that night at that location.
Hampton County 911. Where's your emergency?
Hello, I see somebody laying out in the road. Somebody going to hit it at something. Somebody going to hit it.
Oh, this is the 911 call.
The sheriff's office was dispatched, and upon arrival, they found Stephen Smith deceased, lying on the yellow line in the middle of the road. His car was found on the side of a different road. About the first few days of an investigation are by far the most important. That's why we really need to understand what happened the hours and days following Stephen's death. Deaths like this don't happen often in Hampton County, and the sheriff's office felt it needed to call in assistance to help with this case. Because Stephen's body was found on the roadway and his car on the side of the road a few miles away, the sheriff's office figured he ran out of gas, was walking home, and was hit by a car. So they called in the South Carolina Highway Patrol, more specifically the MATE Division, which specializes in more complex vehicle accidents. But keep in mind, they do not investigate murders. As they began to comb through the scene, the officers found zero evidence of a hit and run.
This is Corporal Duncan, South Carolina Highway Patrol Mate. It's reference to a collision in Hampton County on Sandy Run Road. It is a 2-lane roadway, level, sight distance not an issue. However, this collision occurred approximately at night, so visibility will be used with headlights only. There's no other ambient lighting in the area. As far as evidence here, there is only evidence of where the body was found. There's car parts, no any type of parts to a car or truck or any other vehicle. There's no body trauma other than to the head area. There is some scrapes and scratches on his left and right arm, on his knuckles, some across his face. Does not appear to be, in my opinion, struck by a vehicle, possibly something else.
At around 7 a.m. that morning, and upon further inspection of Stephen, the coroner ruled Stephen's death a homicide, believing the injury to Stephen's head was a gunshot wound. At this point,
So that's where the gunshot went. I'm sorry, let me turn that music down just a little bit more. So that's where the gunshot wound, as we're going into different parts and we're trying to figure out where this statement came from this person, because it's going to change as it goes for each step of this process. It's going to go from one opinion to a different opinion to an opinion that they don't know. So the first responding officer stated he saw zero evidence, no, 2-lane road, not really many obstructions, and what appeared to look like a gunshot wound. It was a 7.25-inch gaping hole injury on the side of his head, and that's what led this officer, the first responding officer, to believe that it was a gunshot wound.
it doesn't make sense for the Highway Patrol to be investigating this case, and SLED, or the South Carolina Law Enforcement, was called in. But the coroner actually doesn't have the final say in the cause of death. That final decision goes to what's called a pathologist. A pathologist is a highly specialized physician whose primary area of expertise is the study of body tissues and body fluids. The pathologist studied Stephen's remains and determined the injury was not a gunshot wound. No bullet fragments were found, and she believed the injury to be caused by blunt force trauma, more specifically from a vehicle.
Okay, so the pathologist stated hit and run, and then I will go. I don't know which highway patrol it was, Pam, if you want to find out, but that's interesting because the name Patrick Wilson is one of the names that I said there was two people, and Patrick Wilson's name is one of them. That's interesting that you bring that name up. Holy crap. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's one of the names. Wow. Yeah, let me know more about that, Pam, please. Let me know if you send me an email, okay? Because the only notification I get or beep in my ear and my headphone is from Discord. So if anybody reaches out on Twitter or email, please just let me know that you sent me a message and I'll go check. I do not get a notification for that. All right, so I'm going to go back to what the pathologist says that we can make sure that it's 100% what pathologist states.
So what's called a pathologist. A pathologist is a highly specialized physician whose primary area of expertise is the study of body tissues and body fluids. The pathologist studied Stephen's remains and determined the injury was not a gunshot wound. No bullet fragments were found, and she believed the injury to be caused by blunt force trauma, more specifically from a vehicle.
Oh, sorry, it sounded like somebody wanted to say something. Did anybody want to say anything?
Oh no, I forgot I was even on. I'm just listening.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. I thought somebody was like trying to say something, so I'm like, oh shoot, let me pause it.
I've been muted because I had an issue with my laser come up, so I'm in here trying to figure out what's going on and listening. So,
Well, oh, fingers crossed. I'm sure that thing's expensive.
I already got it. I'm just making sure it's going to burn right now before I walk away again.
Okay.
I just had a
Be
bad
safe.
setting.
Alrighty, be safe. All right, so
I am safe.
Go back. Okay. Let me go back here.
Because of the pathologist's determination, SLED turned the investigation back over to the South Carolina Highway Patrol. Multiple agents from the Highway Patrol tried to speak with the pathologist in an attempt to understand why she disagreed with the coroner. Here's an officer's report. The reason I went and spoke with her was due to a preliminary report where she stated that the victim was possibly struck by a motor vehicle mirror, which was the cause of death. Sergeant Moore had already had
South Carolina Highway Patrol, Pam. And so because the pathologist came out and stated she felt it was a hit and run, the officer then felt it was his duty to show up or to contact and have a conversation with the pathologist and be like, whoa, there was no evidence whatsoever to show that this was a hit and run. I mean, the shoes were loosely tied, or not even tied, they were loose, and his shoes were still on. He was in the middle of the road.
Where she stated that the victim was possibly struck by a motor vehicle mirror, which was the cause of death. Sergeant Moore had already had, from my understanding, a heated conversation with her about this issue. She stated that she could not even begin speaking with me about this case without the coroner's consent. I advised her that I had spoken with Coroner Washington the day before, and she basically called me a liar, and she said she would call him right then. When I asked if she wanted me to call from my cell phone, she backed off. I asked her why she stated that in the report, and her answer was because he was found in the road. She had no evidence other than that for the statement being put in the report. I asked her if someone with a baseball bat could do that, and she stated no. When I probed further, saying, what about someone in a moving car with a baseball bat? She stated, well, I guess it's possible. As I was leaving, she stated that the report was preliminary and it was my job to figure out what it was that struck him, not hers.
So that's very interesting when it comes to this officer's account of what took place when he found out that her opinion was hit and run. And that's crazy how when the officer was pressuring the pathologist, then pathologist says, I can't talk about it unless I have the permission of the coroner. I can call the coroner right now. Oh, and then you back off. Like,
it's like
Presnell.
Yeah, Presnell.
Need to look up more on Presnell in the future.
It just sounds suspicious.
Very.
Like,
and I wonder what other
if that person is intertwined with the Murdaghs or cover up or something.
This is what I'm wondering. How many homicides or crimes has this person done that they could have affected other cases like this one's been affected?
Yep. I mean, it's been going on for many years.
Not just Stephen, but
yeah.
How far does that go?
Well, how do you know they didn't? How do you know that if the Murdaghs were involved? How do you know that they didn't pay somebody off? Because, if they're an influential attorney's office, they might have said, "Hey, if you find anybody around this area, let us know before you make any official notices, because we're involved in whatever." And
then, I bet you
here's X amount of money to make it go away, and just say this.
I mean, it sounds like that's what they've done for a century.
Right.
Honestly.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was a buddy network. It could even be that where it's like, you know what? Anytime that there's something suspicious and we're involved, we're going to come to you every single time. We're going to look out for you because you're going to look out for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
exactly.
Or hey, what about this? Alec is representing somebody, and he goes to the pathologist and says, "Hey, man, I'm really trying to win this case. Can you make it? Can you make this be the decision, or can you, can
Yep.
can you
There's
on the stand? Can you say this? So then it creates this, or there's." It's like one of these videos we watched. They sit there and they battle it out in court. This community, these people, they battle it out in court, and then they go spend Sunday service together. They're all intertwined. They're all connected. And when you're in high places, you're around high people, and just like they've been doing, they were getting away with shit for a lot of years.
Well, like they said, they've been running that area for many years.
Yes.
Have people in their pockets.
Generations. You saw the Murdaugh dads, fathers that were lawyers in that community before it. I mean, it goes back to the beginning of that community, honestly.
It does.
It goes
1940 it started.
It goes way back.
Or before that.
Call references a green truck or something. I was waiting for him to say blue. Not sure what I could not find them. That's interesting that they got pulled over for a lot of unregistered. At the time of being pulled over, I have listened to so many. You should see my notes, Pam. I got tomorrow off, so I will be going through all my notes. I need to get just a notebook just for Steven's case, where it's just a notebook of that, and that's it.
SRB says she sent you something.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get to chat. I'm just going through everything so I don't miss anybody's. It was worth going over understanding the web of investigations. Let me see. Okay. I'll listen to that tomorrow when I'm at work. Thank you for that, SRB. I'll definitely check that one out because I did see that one come across earlier. All right. So I'm going to go through the officer's account again of what went down when he went and had the conversation with the pathologist, because I feel this is very important. And we need to look up Fresno and also other cases that involved some kind of crime, and if they were a pathologist for that. I'm just curious if there's any other weird crimes. This is for future ahead. I'm wondering if there's any other crimes that they did work for.
In an attempt to understand why she disagreed with the coroner, here's an officer's report. The reason I went and spoke with her was due to a preliminary report where she stated that the victim was possibly struck by a motor vehicle mirror, which was the cause of death. Sergeant Moore had already had, from my understanding, a heated conversation with her about this issue. She stated that she could not even begin speaking with me about this case without the coroner's consent. I advised her that I had spoken with Coroner Washington the day before, and she basically called me a liar, and she said she would call him right then. When I asked if she wanted me to call from my cell phone, she backed off. I asked her why she stated that in the report, and her answer was because he was found in the road. She had no evidence other than that for the statement being put in the report. I asked her if someone with a baseball bat could do that, and she stated no. When I probed further, saying, what about someone in a moving car with a baseball bat? She stated, well, I guess it's possible. As I was leaving, she stated that the report was preliminary and it was my job to figure out what it was that struck him, not hers.
Huh.
So,
ain't that some shit? It's your job
Yeah, wow.
to figure it out,
That
not
sounds
mine.
like a union mentality to me.
And it sounds like once the patrol officer found out that there was no bullets or any slugs or anything associated with a shot, then he switched to a baseball bat. Then when she says no, then he asks about someone with a baseball bat and a moving truck, and then she's like, So it's interesting, the patrol officers going from a gunshot, understanding that it wasn't a gunshot based off the evidence, then automatically goes to baseball bat. So we'll have to keep that in our head too. Baseball bat. It's your job to figure it out, not mine. Wow.
Exactly. Wow.
Somebody's getting a little emotional for no reason.
At this point, it seems clear that it wasn't a gunshot wound that killed Stephen. It was blunt force trauma. However, the circumstances surrounding the blunt force trauma were still very unclear. And because the pathologist ruled it a hit and run, the Highway Patrol ended up in charge of investigating what everyone but the pathologist believed to be a homicide. I've listened to hours of interviews and read through pages and pages of documents to prepare for this episode. Throughout the course of the investigation, 4 potential theories seemed to surface, one of which seems to implicate the most prominent and powerful family in town. Let's take a look at the Murdaugh family again. Paul and Maggie were found shot in June of 2021 at the family hunting lodge. We haven't covered Alec much up to this point, but we're going to have episodes devoted to him later in this series. This episode, we're going to be talking about Buster Murdaugh.
So theory 1, we pretty much know theory 1. We kind of went through theory 1, but we're still going to check this out. The voice messages will be coming up here. I'm not sure. There might be some with this one, but I'm not sure.
Buster and Stephen went to the same school and graduated the same year at Wade Hampton High School. The first mention I could find of the Murdaugh name being brought up was in an officer's interview with a family member of Stephen. Most names you hear from this point forward will be changed to respect the privacy of those involved.
So Jessica Smith.
I just left the house.
Okay, so Jessica Smith is his sister. So I'll leave that up there. So here's the beginning of the connection with Theory 1 and Buster. Jessica Smith. And this is at the 1 hour and 14 minute mark. Yes, we need the incident report. We need the coroner's report, all of that stuff. If anybody can get that, I'd appreciate that. I can get pictures, but it would be like split into 4 or 5 pictures based off of how I can screenshot them.
I wonder if you can even get the coroner report. Sorry.
No.
I was just wondering if you can even get it with it being ongoing now.
Well, it's online. It's online, but I can't. The image file that I try and save it as doesn't.
Yeah.
It saves. It can only save it as some weird image that starts with an A, and I don't. It's like 4 letters.
Oh.
So I'm not able to. I don't have the program, I guess, to use it. So the only option I have is taking a screenshot, or if anybody else out there is able to come across it. What's up, Cherry?
I just left the house the first official time yesterday. And I went into the store, and a bunch of people kept coming up to me, and they're like, "Did you know the Murdaugh boys are behind it?" You know, saying Buster Murdaugh, the one we went to school with, did it, and some of his friends.
The officer asks where she heard this rumor from and does his best to trace it to the source.
Maria.
She was at church, and that both always spoken about Stephen's death.
about Buster Maddox. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I told her that another friend of mine had texted me asking me if Buster and Stephen were together. And I told him no. I said, not that I knew of. And then I asked him why. He said because he had heard that. And I asked him who he heard it from. And he said he didn't know. He just heard it.
So Brianna said that another friend texted her asking if Stephen was gay, and she said no. She asked why, and he said that he just heard that. She asked who he heard it from. He said, I don't know, I just heard it.
Was that message from?
It was from, yes.
Okay.
Michael.
Have you got his phone number?
And she wasn't the only person who heard it from Michael.
Ben.
I heard that 2, maybe 3 young men were in a vehicle. They were riding down 601, saw the car on the side of the road. I guess saw the boy walking. They turned back around. I guess they were attempting to, mess around with him or something like that, and stuck something out the window, and it, hit him in, I don't know if it hit him in the head or the back or where it hit him. And then that's pretty much all I heard. I did hear names, and I heard a name, and that name was, he goes by Buster Murdoch. I've known Buster pretty much my whole life. He's a grade under me. We went to school together, played baseball together. Kind of out of character to who I knew, but I did also hear from the same source that he could possibly have been on some type of drugs. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's just strictly hearsay from all I know.
Would it have been Buster driving?
I would have imagined so. To know Buster, usually he drove himself around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he was always the one. They were in his vehicles. He always had friends with him in his vehicles when he was driving around. Or that's how it was in school.
There had to be more than one. And then if Buster was the one driving, that means somebody else the one that hit Stephen. Didn't tell you where he had gotten this information?
Yes, sir. He got it from, I think her first name is, and then she heard it from, which is Buster Murdoch's best friend. And when I originally heard this, I was thinking of the younger Murdoch boy, Buster's little brother Paul, because Paul's more the, I won't say troublemaker, but he's a little more, my last name is Murdoch, I can do whatever, you know what I mean?
It went to his head a lot more.
You're right. He was more that type of kid.
Okay, so we're going to listen to that whole conversation again, and we're going to pause it during different parts. So Ben is the first one to state that 2 or 3 young men, this is what he heard, 2 or 3 young men were in a vehicle going down the 601. All right. I'll bring this up so I can show you where 601 is. And he said he would assume Buster was driving because Buster was the one that was always driving everybody around. So here's 601 right here. Okay. So they would have been driving down this road, supposedly seen the car. So that means they would have been driving south on 601. They would have seen the car broke down. As they kept driving, then he states he heard that they seen him walking. That's when they started messing with him. Then supposedly one of them was holding something out the window or maybe out the back of the truck and then struck him, and then that's all that he had heard. So let me go back to the video. And we'll go back to, this is Ben. He says that he heard it from Michael, who then heard it from Victoria. Now, it is a game of telephone, so some of this may, there might be different things that are going to sound. This is why we got to take notes, because we got to know who said what, and we got to know how it pertains to other people. So Brianna is the first one that brings up Michael. Michael was the one that asked Brianna if Stephen was gay. She said no. She asked why he wants to know. He said, I don't know, I just heard it. She said, who did you hear it from? He said, I don't know, I just heard it. Ben then states the 2-3 young males were in a vehicle. So we're going to start with Ben's recording again, and then we're going to pause it at each statement.
From Michael.
I heard that 2, maybe 3 young men were in a vehicle. They were riding down 601, saw the car on the side of the road. I guess saw the boy walking. They turned back around. I guess they were attempting to, mess around with him.
And then they turned back around.
Something like that, and stuck something out the window, and it, hit him in, I don't know if it hit him in the head or the back or where it hit him, and then that's pretty much all I heard. I did hear names, and I heard a name, and that name was, he goes by Buster Murdoch.
So he heard it was Buster, or Buster was involved.
Known Buster pretty much my whole life. He's a grade under me. We went to school together, played baseball together. Kind of out of character to who I knew, but I did also hear from the same source that he could possibly have been on some type of drugs. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's just strictly hearsay from all I know.
Would it have been Buster driving?
I would have imagined so. To know Buster, usually he drove himself around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he was always the one. They were in his vehicles. He always had friends with him in his vehicles when he was driving around. Or that's how it was in school.
There had to be more than one. And then if Buster was the one driving, that means somebody else the one that hit Stephen.
So somebody else would have had to be involved, which is what he stated in the beginning. There was 2 to 3 young men. Now, what about this? What if Buster didn't necessarily have a relationship, was upset because people were associating him with having a relationship, and if Buster was the one that committed this crime, could that have been a reason that he did what he did, or he thinks that's the reason why he did what he did? Because if you're involved in a relationship with somebody, then why would you be driving around in a vehicle, possibly be the one hitting Stephen or being with the person that hit Stephen? Because they were gonna come out and associate your name, and that would have been some kind of social unaliving in a way. Let me get to chat real quick. Let me see here. Thank you everybody for hopping in. And then I'm going to go to this phone. Whoa, it skipped way up there. Holy crap. Sorry, it's taking me a second. My StreamYard went crazy. Okay, that is another name that's going to come up here tonight, is Ontario Aiken. Do you have, can you send that to me, Pam? And if we don't get into that tonight, then we'll get into that the next night. Some blood on road, or maybe he did have a partially dislocated shoulder, but there was no signs of a hit and run. There was the shoes were still on, even though they were loosely tied. There was no pieces of a vehicle. This is kind of when we get into another theory that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. My theory is that the hit and run took somewhere else, and because there was evidence of a hit and run, that's why he was placed where he was at. And this other theory that I'm kind of exploring is a hit and run. But it didn't take place there. It took place in another location. They put Steven in a different location so that way when there was Ellie showing up looking for a hit and run evidence, there wouldn't be any because it didn't take place there. It took place somewhere else. And you'll see what I mean when we get into the messages later on. I have their arrest records up on my computer, but none of the dates fit. Really? I believe it's Hampton County, Mama Bear. But I would double check. There's so much to this case, and I'm just getting into it. Like, there is so much to it. And I'm glad I have tomorrow off because I'm definitely going to be making some badass notes tomorrow. So that way, I think I just need to go get me a notebook for each case, honestly, because having one notebook for the show is just not working. I got shit all over the place. I need one of those speech to text things like there we go. Yeah, I think it definitely happened somewhere else and he was moved. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking it has to do with somebody that walked outside and puked. I believe that those three guys had come. What's up?
I heard a while back, I don't remember what podcast, but it was brought up that a baseball bat was found at the murder scene.
I remember hearing something about
this murder scene. That's right, at the Murdaws.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the evidence.
Had came home from, and you know what's interesting that you say 3 because with Ben saying 2 to 3, my theory has 2 people, and adding Buster makes it 3. So his 2 to 3, which is my 2, and your guys' is 3. That's Ben's 2 to 3. My 2, your 3. Because I wasn't looking at it like, because I knew they all played baseball together. And the whole bat thing, I was like, how could a bat, I was even having this conversation with a coworker today. I was like, how could a bat do that kind of gaping hole unless it's over and over and over and over and over because it's got a rounded edge. Okay. I was like, if that was the case, wouldn't a sharper object create that kind of injury? But I didn't even think at that time about somebody being in the vehicle, swinging it one time, driving by. And then now, when we're mixing this together, now I can totally see how a rounded tip bat could inflict that kind of damage without it being used over and over and over and over. Right. I'd think one hard smack. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what. So I appreciate you guys. Because it's going to be crazy when we get into. I'll say the names right now, but when you hear them, Patrick Wilson is one of them. Sean Connolly is the other one. And I want to show you something real quick. See this address right here? Or this location?
Yeah.
So this is where Steven was found. This location up here is where Sean Connolly is at.
Wow.
Ain't that weird?
Yeah.
Same road. And when we get into the Sean Connolly and the Patrick Wilson theory that I want to explore more, the accounts of what took place that night, you're going to be like, holy crap, I can totally see how that happened. But that's excuse me, that's with the hit and run. But it could have been a hit and run with a bat, and then you apply what's being said in these voice messages with these two names. You add Buster into that, and then all of a sudden, a lot of this stuff makes more sense. All right, so I'm going to go back to this. We'll finish up Ben's, and then we'll get to the next one. Large gate. Yeah, 7 1/4 inch. Yep. So I can see it now. And I'm glad that, because when we were going over the patrol officer, when he found out there was no bullets, then all of a sudden he switched to baseball bat. Then when the pathologist answered him, no, the baseball bat couldn't have created this type of injury, then he switches to, well, what if it was in a moving vehicle? And then she's like, huh? We're making sense, everybody.
Didn't tell you where he had gotten this information?
Yes, sir. He got it from, I think her first name is.
Okay, so Ben heard it from Michael. Michael heard it from Victoria. Victoria heard it from Colby. So we need to write that down. Ben heard it from Michael. Michael heard it from Victoria. Victoria heard it from Colby. Maybe they'd... Yes, we found out last night that... thank you, Suzanne. We found out last night that the house... This house right here... It was vacant. Right there. We found out this house... No, that's not it. One second. This house. We found out this house right here was vacant. And right here, see this telephone or this electrical pole right here? Right across the street where my mouse cursor is at, that's where his body was found. Right there in the middle of the road. And this house right here, we thought nobody was there at the time, but Suzanne confirmed last night that in fact there was nobody living there, period. Isn't that creepy? Well, they didn't do the kit. That's correct. Why look at the vehicle coming in and hence over the eye. And you never know that when you got party kids and they can do whatever they want, who knows with that house, with it being vacant, everybody probably knew it was vacant. Who knows? But yeah, so that's the location. All right. So Ben heard it from Michael. Michael heard it from Victoria. Victoria heard it from Colby.
And she heard it from, which is Buster Murder's best friend. And when I originally heard this, I was thinking of the younger Murdoch boy, Buster's little brother Paul, because Paul's more the, I won't say troublemaker, but he's a little more, my last name is Murdoch, I can do whatever, you know what I mean?
His head a lot more.
You're right, the kid.
It seems as if the officer is finally getting somewhere. Ben says he heard it from Michael, who heard it from Victoria, who heard it from Colby, who heard it from Buster. The officer keeps moving down the line.
So just go ahead and tell me the version of the story that you heard.
Alright, so I was with some friends one night, and out of the blue, one of my friends said that, I mean, we already knew, like, he got hit or whatever, and we didn't know who did it, but we just heard that Buster did it. So after that.
So he was out with some friends, and this was after they knew that Steven was the one that was hit and unalived.
That, I mean, everybody know who Buster is and like his family and all that, so it was kind of like shocking. So we just kept talking about it, and I guess it spread it around like a lot.
Can you tell me what you heard about the Stephen Smith incident?
I just heard one of her classmates did it.
Okay.
She just heard one of her classmates did it. Isn't that interesting? You just hear one of your classmates did it, and you're not going to go, who? Okay, who's that?
And who was that?
Buster Murdoch.
Wow. And Sandy Smith, Steven's mom, she talks about how everybody around that community knows what happened and knows who did it. But nobody's talking. And that's why, this is a game of telephone. But this game of telephone in a community that don't talk, this game of telephone, it's like when you make noodles on the stove for macaroni. You get your strainer out and you pour it into the strainer and you filter out all the shit you're not going to use, so that way you can throw the good stuff back in the pan and keep cooking. So this stuff might be a whole bunch of different places, but some of it shit's going to make sense. It does me too, Pam. That's why I'm spending so much time on it. It infuriates me too. We're gonna dig through all this shit, and we're gonna make some sense out of it.
Okay.
It was the guy that told me that.
There was a guy that told you that?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, Chandler.
And did he say where he heard that from, or how he was backing that up?
No, sir.
So he just said, I heard Buster did it.
Yes, sir.
Did he say how he did it or what happened?
He did. He said they beat him up and threw him out the truck.
Beat him up and threw him out of the truck. See, the game of telephone, but there's always the truth somewhere, even though there's a couple words here and a couple words there. We just put them together.
Beat him up and threw him out the truck?
Yes, sir.
Did Stephen have enemies?
From me as a friend, I didn't know any.
Yeah, because, from everybody I've been talking to, everybody knew Stephen's lifestyle, of course. But nobody really had issue with that. So I don't understand, why, and I've even asked people about Buster in particular, did he not like this guy? And they were like, no, so why do you think, how does that make sense?
It doesn't to me. It doesn't add up to me.
When the officer asked Victoria who she heard it from, she says Chandler. He even brings up Colby by name, and she says she didn't hear it from him. I can't find anywhere in the case files that they reached out to Chandler, but that doesn't mean they didn't. It just means they didn't make it available, and I'm not sure why. So everyone seems to have heard this.
Does anybody have any ideas or theories on why they might not have released it if they did talk to him? What's up, Punksy? about you, Kib Kitty or Kevin? You have any theories on why they might not have released? Do you think maybe it's because he's got the most credible information when it comes to the crime that was committed, and so they, or maybe he just wasn't contacted, or they just didn't feel it was credible?
His story might not have made sense. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not muted.
Yeah.
I thought I had it muted.
Same thing with you, Kib Kitty. Just story wasn't relevant. Yeah.
Rumor, but no one seems to know exactly where.
Sorry, but
No,
I
go
mean, they took all these other kids' statements, so why wouldn't they take his?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is either it's way credible, because if you look at the story, right, it goes, literally it goes Brianna, Michael, Ben, Michael, Victoria, Colby, Buster, Michael, Chandler. So it seems like Chandler, I don't know. It's weird
small towns. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. Everybody knows what happens. So I don't know if they're scared to speak up because it's a murder. You've heard that before from people.
Or what about this? Because Chandler's story... What's up, Duncan Felonies? How you doing tonight? What about this? Chandler's story is the fact of him being beat up and thrown out of a truck, when everybody else's version is that young men saw the car, him walking, messed with him, and hit him with something from out the window driving by. So maybe the whole beating him up and throwing him out of the truck was never necessarily taken seriously, because that's one person's account. When you look at 5, 6, 7 other people's, their version is one. So maybe that could be it too. They were like, you know what, this doesn't make sense. So we're going to focus on the version where it was a hit and run, but not with a vehicle, with an object.
Right.
Where it came from. It seems as if the officer is trying to figure out if the reason he can't find anything is because there's just no truth to the rumor, or if it's because people are just too scared to talk.
My office is out of Charleston. Okay. I don't work around Hampton. I know the Murdochs are highfalutin around Hampton, and some people say have a lot of power or whatever, but that name doesn't mean anything to me. My job is to find out. You don't have to agree with Stephen's lifestyle, but that don't mean that he gets to be killed and nobody gets to find out what happened. I can tell you this because I know it kind of went back and forth, and there were different rumors and about it, him possibly getting hit by a car and this and that. He didn't get hit by no car. Stephen's, his story deserves to be told, and that's what I'm working for.
The officer asked if anyone had heard that Buster and Stephen were involved before Stephen's death, or did this rumor come about afterwards?
And he said he didn't get hit by a car, so the story of somebody driving by hitting him with a bat sounds a lot more plausible to me right now. What's up, Kib Kitty?
What do you mean?
Oh, I thought you were trying to say something.
No.
And good night, everybody who's going to bed tonight. Even if everybody's heading to sleep, go ahead and check the replay, because even if I'm by myself, I'm going through these voice messages. So I'm going to be, I'll be commentating even if I'm by myself. So I know it's late. I know it's getting late. I know I probably will have a late show.
You're saying late? Really, this is early.
I appreciate everybody, no matter how long you're hanging out or whether you're watching it in replay. For some people, it's late.
Well, this is coming from the night shifters, so yeah.
Right. The guy that works 12 hours overnight. This is early. Where's the McMuffins?
Oh, don't talk about food. I'm already hungry.
Well, the good thing about being a guest is you can go make something to eat.
Yeah, but I'm not allowed to make noise.
I have to wait. Yeah, you just hit the mute. Yeah, definitely check out the replay. Like I said, even if I'm by myself, I'm going through all these voice messages tonight. Still, we'll be doing commentary and everything. Thanks for hopping in, Roxanne. How are you doing tonight? Take a little break here. I know. She does have a cool last name, don't she, Cherry? Yeah, rest easy, whoever's going to bed. And thank you all for hanging out. All right, back to the video.
Had you ever heard of Stephen and Buster being involved with at all before this?
No, sir, I haven't.
So this was the first time you'd ever heard about something like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you know Stephen at all?
Yes, sir. He was my best friend.
A few months later, an anonymous tip comes.
Now, this is interesting. Angela states to be Stephen's best friend, but listen to what she says when it comes to Buster and Stephen.
At all before this?
No, sir, I haven't.
So this was the first time you'd ever heard about something like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you know Stephen at all?
Yes, sir. He was my best friend.
A few months later, an anonymous tip comes in that Xavier, along with another black male and a white male, Buster, are the ones involved in Stephen's death.
Somebody said he got hit by a car or something. That's what you heard. Yeah, he didn't get hit by a car. He did? No, someone murdered him. That's what I'm saying. For what?
Exactly.
Why would somebody do that to him? I have no idea. He wouldn't bother nobody, I don't think. Because he was when I played football, he was our trainer. I mean, I've seen him every now and then in school, but other than that, I didn't ever see him. Sure, at school, some kids with the last name Murdaugh. I know a girl, but that's about it. You know the boys?
Huh.
It wasn't too many Murdaugh. Well, it was one, he graduated with Steve. Right. You hang out with him? Never did. Did you ever go to any of his parties at any time? No, sir. Well, here's the thing.
I don't know. That sounds very suspicious. You're in a small freaking community and you don't know shit about Murdaughs?
Right.
You never hung around with them? You never went to hang around with them? You never went to any parties they were at? You never... I call bullshit.
Yeah, I do too. You can't live in that small community and not know Murdaughs. Come on.
I call bullshit. I call being evasive is what I call. And then you listen to his responses like he's like, what? Huh? What? Come on. No. We're going to start that one over. Just pay attention to what this guy's saying.
Black male and a white male.
Sweet dreams, everybody who's going to bed. Thank you for hanging out.
Buster are the ones involved in Stephen's death.
Somebody said he got hit by a car or something. That's what you heard. Yeah, he didn't get hit by a car. He did? No, someone murdered him.
What? Huh?
That's what I'm saying. For what? Why would somebody do that to him? I have no idea. He wouldn't bother nobody, I don't think. Because he was when I played football, he was our trainer. I mean, I've seen him every now and then in school, but other than that, I didn't ever see him. Sure, at school, some kids with the last name Murdaugh. I know a girl, but that's about it. You know the boys? It wasn't too many Murdaugh. Well, it was one, he graduated with Steve. Right. You hang out with him? Never did. Did you ever go to any of his parties at any time? No, sir. Well, here's the thing. You know, your name's been brought up as a link in this death. So, I mean, if there's anything that you want to say about it, you know, I'd hate to see you go down with whoever killed this boy.
Well, I wasn't there. Didn't know about it until later after he died. I heard he was hit by a car. And that was it.
Yeah. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, we need to look up this person a little more as well when it comes to their possible involvement. Very evasive. We're not going to get much from this voice recording. So if you have any information or anything that we can go further into when it comes to this person and their possible connection, please do. Just put the subject as Xavier, or if you send it on Twitter or Discord, you don't even have to do that. You just send me the link. Very suspicious.
This interview just doesn't seem to go anywhere, and this is the last reference to them investigating the Murdaugh theory in the case files that I received. Here's what Jessica Smith and Stephen's mother had to say about the Murdaugh rumors at the time of Stephen's death.
You know, saying Buster Murdaugh, the one we went to school with, did it, and some of his friends, and I'm just sitting here like, why? You know, it makes no sense. He's never said anything bad about Stephen. He's never been around Stephen to, you know, I was mind boggled at that, and I kind of ignored it. And, you know, I haven't heard any more about that.
Has anybody talked to your mom about, you know, rumors and things like that? Has she heard anything that you know of?
She's heard the same exact stuff I've heard, but she's more stuck on Mark did it, and all that, so.
Mark did it. Mark did it. Mark who? I don't see a mark anywhere on my paper. So we'll see. Maybe this will be some other voice recordings that we're going to get into here tonight. But I don't know. Anybody remember a Mark? M-A-R-C.
Wasn't that the guy claiming to be his boyfriend?
That's right. That's right. And we will be getting into it after this one's done. Awesome. Thank you, Kib Kitty, for reminding me.
You're welcome.
I got so much stuff in my head. It's my Rolodex mind is like having issues.
So who is Mark? And
sorry, go ahead.
Mark said he was the last one to talk to him too.
Yeah, but Mark said this is what first made me go, into the other theory that I was thinking of today when it's stuff that Mark says. It's stuff that Mark says. There's so many different theories.
What are the other theories surrounding the death of Stephen? Well, I'll be covering those in the next episode. While nothing can be done to bring Stephen back, his family deserves answers.
Yes,
during the investigation into the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, SLED received information that caused them to reopen Stephen's case.
And was that the bat? We all thought maybe it might have been the phone or something to do with the phone. Yes, Pam, Mark, we'll be getting into that in the next video here in a second. I'm going to be switching to that here. Mark was the self-proclaimed boyfriend, and he has a lot to say. Now, the LE investigated him in the very beginning first, and they found that he had no connection to the crime taking place. So I understand why. This is what I'm wondering. Does Sandy Smith still believe Mark is the one who did this now? Or has she changed her mind and does she think it's somebody else? You know, who are you thinking it is now? You know, who do you want us to kind of dig around and see what's up? You know what I'm saying? Because this could have been, let me see when this video was made. A year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Let me see what the date is. October 21st, 2021. So it's a year and a half old. So a lot of things could have changed.
Right.
So I'm wondering, does she still feel that Mark is involved? Because after everything that we've gone through over the first part 1 and part 2, I really felt like he wasn't. I felt like he was one of the ones that wasn't connected. I'm just looking at everything in Hampton County. I appreciate you, Mama Bear, for doing all that work. And SRB, I will get to your link on the next show. Because, we got plenty more parts to this Stephen Smith case. Mysterious murder and cover-up. Because, I don't know, that's just what it seems like to me. If Sandy thought it was Mark, she would be screaming about it. But she's been that's one thing. She's been very respectful and reserved. She doesn't want the attention. She just wants the answers.
Yeah, she just wants the justice.
We read in the beginning of the show that she's getting book deals and Netflix movie deals and all sorts of stuff. And with the financial situation around that community, and she even turned them down, knowing that what we know about the financial situations in that community there, and knowing that, and the fact that she turned them down, she doesn't I don't think she would probably just sit and talk politely and softly and quietly and respectfully. I don't know if she'd be screaming. She just wants answers. And the fact that you're living in a community, you're from a community, the community she feels knows, number one, they did this to your son. All right. They took your son from you the way that they took him from you. Then you're dealing with high profile individuals that can pull strings, like a puppeteer. And then you're not only, but then you're around the community that knows what took place, but nobody's saying nothing. I mean, that's got to be a really thick atmosphere to breathe.
Right.
When you have all of that surrounding you. This poor lady, she deserves answers ASAP. Sandy's a pistol. She had... Yeah, but any interview that I've ever seen from her, Pam, I've never seen. She's always been very respectful, polite, reserved, and just wants answers. I know she wanted an open casket because she wanted everybody to see what somebody had did to her son.
Right.
I'm not sure about a pistol, though. I think anything that I've ever seen her on any interviews or any public things that took place, she's always been very respectful and very very reserved and calm. All right, so we're going to switch to the next episode. Let me get that ready. And this, we're going to be exploring Mark. Now, there's a lot when it comes to this Mark. And let me see here. And there's a lot more.
I'm going to step outside for a minute. If it gets too loud, just tell me.
Okay. All right, here's the next one. There's going to be a little intro going into the Mark topic, and the Mark topic is actually probably going to take 15 or 20 minutes or so. He says a lot, but you got to pay attention to what he says, because there's certain things that he says that ties into stuff that's coming up and later on in the show, which then ties into a whole nother theory or two.
Over the past couple of weeks, did you notice anything strange about his actions or anything that seemed to be bothering him as a mother, to get that mother's intuition?
And not studying like he normally did.
And
he even didn't go to school. He played hooky in school. And he never missed school.
Was it within the past couple of weeks Had this had really started?
Yes.
Okay. So that's something that you felt like was odd that he was doing.
Right.
Last episode, we went to Hampton, South Carolina, and started to explore the mysterious death of a young man named Stephen Smith. Could his death be connected to the Murdaugh family? It's definitely possible, as the Stephen Smith case was recently reopened because of information that the South Carolina law enforcement received while investigating the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh. But there's quite a bit more to the story surrounding Stephen's death. In this episode, we're going to explore 3 other possibilities that could have resulted in the death of Stephen Smith. At Stephen's wake, a man that the family had never met before showed up.
When he came to the wake, he popped out of nowhere. And he asked my aunt, is this Stephen Smith's family and everything? And my aunt said, yeah. And he was like, well, I'm Stephen's boyfriend. What got me was my dad told me to take him in there to go see Stephen. And I said, brace yourself, it don't look like him.
Oh.
He's like, I'm fine. He stopped at the door, called somebody and said, yes, Stephen's dead. And then hung up, didn't say nothing else. Then we walked to the casket and he looked, he's like, what was it? I said, a hit and run. And then he was like, no, he was beat to death. And I kind of looked at him like, how would you know? And then he was like, was he sexually assaulted? I said, I don't know. You know, and then he left.
So this man claimed...
Go ahead.
No, I just said, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm going to play that one more time. This is crazy. I don't think he said that he was beaten because he had something to do with it. I think he said it because he saw the injuries and he was like, this wasn't no hit and run.
No.
I think it was, yeah. Because you got to understand, they cleaned off the wound and all that stuff. So, you know, I don't want to say it.
Yeah. At Stephen's wake, a man that the family had never met before showed up.
When he came to the wake, he popped out of nowhere. And he asked my aunt, is this Stephen Smith's family and everything? And my aunt said, yeah. And he was like, well, I'm Stephen's boyfriend. What got me was my dad told me to take him in there to go see Stephen. And I said, brace yourself, it don't look like him. He's like, I'm fine. He stopped at the door, called somebody and said, yes, Stephen's dead. And then hung up, didn't say nothing else. Then we walked to the casket and he looked, he's like, what was it? I said, a hit and run. And then he was like, no, he was beat to death. And I kind of looked at him like, how would you know? And then he was like, was he sexually assaulted? I said, I don't know. You know, and then he left.
So this man claims to be Stephen's boyfriend. The officers interview Mark at his house. Before you listen, I want to help you understand Mark a bit. Mark is in his late 40s. In the interview, he says he takes a drug called Seroquel. Seroquel is used to treat bipolar and schizophrenia. He oftentimes says things that don't quite make sense or goes off on seemingly unrelated tangents.
How long have y'all been together?
So does anybody know this chemical Seroquel? I've heard it before.
I've heard of it, but that's about it.
I don't know anything about no drugs.
So he basically goes off the path sometimes and such because of the chemical.
Yeah. He oftentimes says things that don't quite make sense.
What's up?
I go off the path all the time and I don't take nothing.
Yeah.
Seroquel is used to treat bipolar and schizophrenia. He oftentimes says things that don't quite make sense or goes off on seemingly unrelated tangents.
How long have y'all been together?
Huh.
His birthday is the 29th of January. He was shaking his booty at the club and he wasn't even 18. So that's probably why that club was closed. Because his birthday is the 29th. And
but what I'm saying, how long have y'all been together?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He was shaking his butt at the club.
So you met him back in January, basically.
When he supposedly was 18, but his birthday is not until then.
So January until July is when he knew Stephen. Very short period of time.
19th.
Right.
29th, I mean.
So you met him
And he wasn't even 18, but we didn't do anything because he had to leave.
Okay.
Stephen was 19 when he died, so it would have been about a year and a half prior to his death that Mark first met Stephen. He explains that he and Stephen were texting and calling the day and night that Stephen died. Mark recalls speaking with Stephen and hearing trucks and tires going down the road, as well as dogs barking, which led Mark to believe that Stephen was walking down the road.
So what do you think, Cherry? Do you think it's something that could have taken place where he literally wouldn't have even remembered? And that's how he would pass any kind of...
What's that about the dogs barking?
That could be in somebody's yard if he was walking. But no, weren't they saying he was meeting up with people off of like Craigslist and stuff too?
Yeah, that'll be later in this recording.
Okay, well,
and then I'll give a heads up to anybody that wants to skip ahead when we get to that part.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, cause what if somebody like gave him something and that affected his memory or something? I don't know if they got stuff like that they can do, but
you never know. It's a possibility. I take meds. Oh. Cherry says mixed with alcohol, it causes psychotic episodes. And what do you think about that, Cherry? A boyfriend stops before even going up to the casket. He could tell, I guess, from being far away that it was obvious. And then to make a phone call confirming death. I did find that odd.
Yeah.
I did find that very odd. But
is there any possibility they were on the phone when they went by and hit him in the head with the baseball bat or did whatever they did?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe he knows more than he's letting on, but he doesn't want to be considered a suspect.
Well, that too. And he probably hangs around. If there's maybe he knows something, he was hanging around somebody and he knows, because they start talking about somebody else with the tattoo. There's other things that Stephen was expressing to him. There's something that Stephen was a few things that Stephen was expressing to Mark from what Mark says. Now, this could easily be him throwing shit out there to deflect, if that's the case, but I don't know. You want to trust that the LE did their job and said, you know what, we checked this guy out. There's no link, whatever. You want to hope that the right thing happened. But when we're going through this case, I could also see it being maybe this guy was the one or was involved. And when we thought they're doing, because of whatever little twist and turn they want to make this out to be, when we think it's a cover-up, well, then that could be part of the cover-up too. So you never really know. I should end every live with a no. Yeah. Country boys always have their dogs in their truck.
So with the LE, I know they would do their job right, but I don't know about where they're at, because I know there's some pretty crooked cops out there too.
So they would remember when it's mixed with alcohol, because if you're going to a club, you're probably drinking, and then if you're mixing alcohol with the chemicals that he's taking, and then it causes psychotic episodes, I was wondering if they would black out and totally not even remember. But she says they remember everything, just makes them dangerous to self and others. Beat versus hit, in my opinion, would look different after death. Hit meaning by vehicle. So what do you think, Cherry? Do you think hit by a vehicle or hit by a bat from inside of a vehicle is like enraged? All right.
Mark says the cell signal cut off, and that's the last time that he spoke with Stephen.
When was the last time you talked to Stephen?
Trucks and tires going down the road, as well as dogs barking, which led Mark to believe that Stephen...
Sorry, 1 second. Let me rewind it more. I thought I rewound it enough.
That he and Stephen were texting and calling the day and night that Stephen died. Mark recalls speaking with Stephen and hearing trucks and tires going down the road, as well as dogs barking, which led Mark to believe that Stephen was walking down the road. Mark says the cell signal cut off, and that's the last time that he spoke with Stephen.
When was the last time you talked to Steve?
That night.
All right. About what time? Not the text, but about what time is the last time you talked to him?
You have to remember with all this, I took my Seroquel sometime. I can't remember if the call came.
I'm just asking for a roundabout time.
I can't remember if it came after the text or before the text, because the last call I heard, I asked him on one of the calls, are you walking? Because he already told me he was out of gas. He was running out of gas. One of the calls before. And I says, are you walking? Because I hear cars going by, and his answer to me was no. And then the call dropped.
So he said he wasn't walking. Then the phone call dropped. He heard dogs barking in the background. So what does that mean? He couldn't have been riding in a car. Well, could he have been riding in a car?
Say in theory that he knew the guy would probably come pick him up since they're dating, and he didn't want to be an inconvenience, and his car was legit broke down.
Right.
He might have just said that because he was,
because he knew he would get up and come out there.
Right, and he knew that,
Right.
hey, I'm only, what was it, like 3 miles from his house? That's the kind of thing I would do.
Let me see. I think about 1.5 miles.
Okay, well, heck, if I know I'm
From
that
the
close
car.
and I'm somebody if I'm walking home in a situation like that and I don't want someone to come pick me up because I'm fine, heck, I'd do the same thing. No, I'm not walking, even though I actually am.
Here, we'll see exactly. It's it is 3 miles. So it's 3 miles to his home and then 3 miles to the car. 6 miles. A total trip of 6 miles. So this would have been the walk.
From the gas station and 3 miles from his house.
No, he was 3 miles from the car in the opposite direction of the closest gas station.
Okay.
And then he's 3 miles from his home. And so that would be from where his body was at to where he resided.
Okay, but I know me, I don't like to be an inconvenience to anybody else, so even if I'm walking and could use a lift, I'll tell you, no, I ain't walking. But I'm stubborn like that, so.
It would only take you how long for walking? Let me see. Let me get rid of these other ones and see how long it would take to walk.
Say for me, 35, 40 minutes maybe, if I'm taking my time.
So if we're walking here, it would basically take 1 hour and 35 minutes to walk. You really think he would walk 1 hour and 35 minutes instead of get a ride that's offered? Yeah, that's where his dad resides. You think that he would walk?
I don't know.
An hour?
I know I would rather walk than make somebody come pick me up, but I'm stubborn like that, so.
Hour and 22, 1 hour and 35 walking distance.
And it was said that the dogs barking just makes me wonder. It was said that the Murdaugh's property, Moselle, wasn't that far from where he was found.
Yeah, if anybody can send me the address, because I'm figuring out this Google stuff the more I use it with these locations and such. If you can give me the address for the hunting lodge where the crime took place, and then I can add this to my Google map locations, then we can actually see, because I believe it's right over in this direction
4,000
somewhere. Somewhere
4,000
here.
something is Moselle.
4,000 was, yeah. If anybody has the address, if you can put it in chat. Oh, the house number is 4,000.
4157, something like that, Moselle Road, or.
Yeah, if you get the address, if you can put it in chat, and then I'll put it up into this destination, and then we'll see how far that is too. All right, we'll go back to Mark's interview here.
And his answer to me was no. And then the call dropped.
He heard dogs and cars going by, he says.
Because he already told me he was out of gas. He was running out of gas. One of the calls before. And I says, are you walking? Because I hear cars going by. And his answer to me was no. And then the call dropped.
Do you remember if it was daytime or nighttime when it was going on?
This was at night. This was 3 a.m.
Okay.
I believe the last text, if my mind calls me correct, that I looked at it was 3:37 a.m.
Wow, 3:37 a.m.
Was he coming over here?
He was supposed to be on the way, but from what I'm learning, he was headed home.
I did.
Okay, so if he was headed over there, his car ran out of gas, then why would he head home and avoid getting a ride from him? Why wouldn't he just have him pick him up and put gas in the car and then go back to, go to, if that's what was supposed to take place? Why would he then instead tell him he's not walking?
Yeah, that's
Like,
fishy about a minute.
It's very strange. That's one thing I'm not understanding here. Something's not making sense. Why, if he's supposed to come over there and runs out of gas, why wouldn't you want him to come get you and bring a gas can or go borrow a gas can from a gas station so you can get your car off the side of the road? I don't know.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if Steven was maybe with somebody else and they gave him some kind of drug, so maybe he wasn't thinking straight.
Yeah. And Cherry, it was a hour and a half walk. So I don't know if it would have been closer to walk to his dad's house or get a ride from Mark. And I would think getting a ride from Mark would literally be like 10 or 15 minutes, and then you got gas in your car too, and then you continue on with what you were planning to do for the evening, right? So I don't know.
So was his car facing his dad's house or the opposite direction?
His car? His car was way over here.
Was he heading to his dad's when he ran out of gas?
Well, that's the thought. No. Mark was saying he was heading to Mark's house. Mark was saying that Steven was supposed to be on his way over to Mark's house. And this was at 3-something in the morning when he's messaging him.
Oh, I must not have heard that. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. It'll probably play it over again. Let me rewind it just a skosh.
Some research on Mark and found some interesting things. Underage boys seems to be a recurring theme. You heard
last time you talked to him.
You have to remember with all this, I took my Seroquel sometime. I can't remember if the call came.
I'm just asking for a roundabout time.
I can't remember if it came after the text or before the text, because the last call I heard, I asked him on one of the calls, are you walking? Because he already told me he was out of gas. He was running out of gas. One of the calls before. And I says, are you walking? Because I hear cars going by. And his answer to me was no. And then the call dropped.
Do you remember if it was daytime or nighttime when it was going on?
This was at night. This was 3 a.m.
Okay.
I believe the last text, if my mind calls me correct, that I looked at it was 3:37 a.m.
Now, was he coming over here?
He was supposed to be on the way, but from what I'm learning, he was headed home.
I did some research on Mark and found some interesting things. Underage boys seems to be a recurring theme. You heard earlier Mark talking about Steven when he was underage, but Mark claims that he was unaware. I found a comment thread on Mark's Facebook about 1 month after Steven's death. Here's what it read. Look, leave Raymond alone or you're going to have to deal with me, and you won't like where you go.
Wow.
I have not said nothing bad to Raymond at all. We just talk. So if you have something to say to me, say it, but don't backtalk me. I am his aunt.
Whoa, hold on. You didn't finish saying the rest of the text.
say to me, say it, but don't backtalk me.
And he is 16, so you need to keep your gay comments and delete him because you.
I am his aunt and he is 16, so you need to keep your gay comments to yourself and delete him because you will be turned in for child if you don't. Thank you. Have a nice day. He said he was 18 years old to me, so I did not know. I did not send him anything pic of me at all. So if there is a pic of me, it is not mine. The third mention of underage boys was in an interview with Jessica Smith.
Then he said him and Steven got in an argument about this 22-year-old, whatever, so he showed me his phone.
Do you know the 22-year-old they're talking about?
All I know is in Mark's phone it says the 22-year-old I met in the store. But Mark told me he never met the guy, and he showed me pictures of this guy, and I swear he looked 13. He showed me full
body.
Yes,
Oh my God.
And this guy looked 13, and I told him, I said, that's like my nephew right there. He's 8, and he's got a body like that. You know, this guy didn't hit puberty or nothing. He was like, well, he's 22. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Jessica also doesn't believe that Mark knew Steven nearly as long as Mark claims. As I looked through Mark's Facebook, I found plenty of posts about Steven, but almost all of them were after his death. The earliest post I could find was a few months before Steven's death, when Mark changed his relationship status.
When Mark changed his relationship status, May 2015, it says, so this is Mark posting a picture, not Steven posting something. Because I know it's kind of hard to see. It says, the only person that's taken me for who... This is what Mark's writes underneath the picture. The only person that's taking me for who I am, no matter what, whether I'm down, I'm out, don't judge me, just love me no matter what. His name is Steven Smith, the love of my heart and my soul, and my flash for now, forever, for always, forever and for always. So he just posted in a relationship. It is no link to Steven, so it's not like they were tagged. It's not like Steven posted anything. And then that's what he wrote underneath the picture.
Looking at this post,
Dre, here, this is, real quick. This is where the car was found. Let me zoom in some more. This is where the car was found. That's where the body was found. And then his dad's house is right here. So his car was here. If he was walking to his dad's, he would have went this way. But if we look at the walking, oh, whoops, hold on one second. I deleted one too many. So if we get rid of this, and then we go by the walking, there's two different routes, all right? You got one route that goes up and around and then goes to the dad's residence, or you got this route, which is the major roads, which I would imagine if somebody's walking at 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, they're probably going to stick to the major roads. So that's probably why, if he was walking to dad's, he would have walked down Baumberg, took a right onto Sandy Run Road, and then walked down this direction. And that is the same road that his body was located on. Same road is right here, and you can actually see the driveway comes right off. Right off. It says Joe Milley Road right now, but it's still County Road S25-38, which is Sandy Run Road.
Remember that you can add and change life events retroactively, and figured out that he actually posted this 2 weeks and 2 days before Steven's death. So Mark claims to have known Steven for 1.5 years, but the first time he posts about Stephen is only 16 days before his death.
Whoa.
It's possible they knew each other for longer, but I definitely found this interesting, especially in the context of this next clip.
You said he started acting real funny about his life, I guess, about what he was doing. And it was about 2 weeks prior to his death?
He was acting a little secretive.
Okay. So he was becoming more secretive then. Mm-hmm. And then was that with the whole family, including you?
Yeah, that was with the whole family.
Okay, 1 second.
And figured out that he actually posted this 2 weeks and 2 days.
2 weeks. And then 2 weeks he starts acting real secretive.
Before Stephen's death. So Mark claims to have known Stephen for a year and a half, but the first time he posts about Stephen is only 16 days before his death.
And there was also his sister Jessica and his mom also heard rumors that he was being stalked and harassed.
It's possible they knew each other for longer, but I definitely found this interesting, especially in the context of this next clip.
I don't know. Maybe he's not so crossed off as I thought he was. I heard somewhere that he was running in the woods. Yeah, I heard that too, Pam. He was being chased in the woods by an older gentleman. Yeah, sounds like a possible created relationship in his head, which could be a possibility of someone with one a mental circle is used for. Not sure the meta is to blame on that. And then you're posting that you're the love of your life. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he. I had him crossed off, and now I'm not so sure.
I'm not sure either. And then Stephen telling him that he's not walking. He didn't want him to come, evidently.
Maybe he told him. Maybe the whole story about him coming over there that night is a bunch of BS, because that's why we're sitting there going, why in the fuck? If he was going over there that night, then why wouldn't he want to ride? Why wouldn't he want some help getting gas in his car? Why wouldn't he want his car to get back to the house if that's where he was going in the first place? So then he could get it off the road and have a ride home. So maybe the story about him supposedly coming over that night from Mark is a bunch of BS.
Maybe you told him that just so the dude would leave him alone while he was trying to get away from him, because it almost sounds like this dude might have been stalking him.
No, I mean what Mark was saying to the LE. That he was saying that he was supposed to come over that night to the LE, but really it's just a BS story, because if he really was supposed to come over there, then why wouldn't it be he had called him to have help? So I think that's the story he was saying to LE to maybe get them off his back. Because if this stuff's true about younger males, I would think he would want to position himself as far away from whatever crime took place as possible, so he doesn't get investigated more.
Right. You're being more clear than I am, but we're getting to the same place. So
yeah. It being a story. Yeah,
sounded like this guy's a pervert.
I'm glad we're going through this, because I had this guy crossed off 2 nights for the last 2 nights. I had him crossed off. I'm not thinking that so much anymore. Might have to. I don't know. Something don't seem right.
What's that noise? Is that the video?
No.
I was looking in a box real quick, sir.
You said he started acting real funny about his life, I guess, about what he was doing. And it was about 2 weeks prior to his death?
He was acting a little secretive.
Okay. So he was becoming more secretive then. And then was that with the whole family, including you?
Yeah, that was with the whole family.
Could Mark be responsible for the death of Stephen? Maybe, but Mark is extremely open to the cops thoroughly investigating him.
Let me ask you this question. You willing to take a lie detector test saying you don't know anything about his death or had anything to do with that death?
I know a lot about what.
I didn't ask you that. Are you willing to?
I'm willing to take a lie detector test. If you want me to bend over backwards, you want me to do whatever you need me to do, I'm telling you, I'm not the one.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't care what you want me to do. I will do anything you need. You want to search the house? Go ahead and do what you got to do. No, I'm telling you,
like I said,
you want to search the car. Search the car. Right now, I have no issue with whatever you want to do.
And like I said,
I'm not the one you're looking for.
Right now, you're the closest thing though that we get information from.
Now, what I know is I feel that the escort agency has something to do with this.
The escort agency. So he didn't meet him at a club shaking his booty. He met him through an escort agency, probably. If that's the connection. So I know this is going to be transitioning into a topic that some people might not want to view or hear. Unfortunately, it is part of the case. So we do have to play this part as well. So if you're watching on replay, skip ahead 8 minutes.
So you could always
and
put
then you will be
timestamps
good.
for the replay too.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
If you go to the descriptions, anytime that we have like just general chat and then actual show stuff, I want to let everybody know while it's on replay that if you don't want to, watch the fish, then you can skip ahead to the topics that we're discussing.
The fish was awesome.
Yeah, well, that's just one of them that I put a timestamp in. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Yeah, so go ahead and it'll actually be about 7 minutes now that you'll want to skip ahead if you're still watching it. But if you're already skipping ahead, we'll get this going.
I need to preface this theory. I contemplated deeply about including this theory in the video. It's information that Stephen might not want out there.
Do me a favor and hit the
but I
mute
also
button.
know that by putting this out there, there's a chance that if people start talking about it, the truth ends up coming out, and we actually get justice for Stephen Smith. In Mark's interview, it comes up that Stephen was using an escort service and Craigslist to make money. If Mark was the only one who said this, I probably wouldn't even include it as a theory, but Jessica Smith confirms this activity is something that was going on. From what I can tell, it doesn't seem like it had been going on for very long.
Okay. Did you ever know of Stephen advertising on these?
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, he put himself out there.
Okay,
So
this is his sister.
He was available.
Yeah.
And when we say advertising, we're talking about for money as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When he started getting real secretive, there's a possibility that he might have been doing some of that, receiving money, but y'all just didn't know that. And he may not wanted y'all to know.
In addition
Well,
to
did they have
Craigslist, there was an escort service that Stephen may have been involved with.
What I know is I feel that the escort agency has something to do with this.
Why
because
would
he
they?
told me when he came Saturday that I was going to have to get waxed down, everything, and look like a boy. And it was going to be, and I said, I'm not comfortable with father-son deal when we're boyfriend and boyfriend.
Okay. Where's the escort agency?
That I don't know because I only learned about this a couple weeks ago. I don't have information on what escort agency, where it is.
Huh.
Any of the kids, the younger kids, I hate to say it, and it's sick as a it could be.
I'm wondering if the LE searched to see if he really did only know about this escort agency the last couple weeks, because I have a feeling the couple weeks that he was involved with Stephen Smith is he was using the escort agency for a couple weeks, and that's where he got the couple weeks in his head.
If they're 19 or if they're 25 or 36, they want them looking like boys. 90% of these guys that are using the escort agency are guys that have money, and they're usually older, and they're looking for guys that look like kids.
But it seems like the escort agency actually offered a bit of protection, and Craigslist, or freelance as Mark will put it, is where the real danger is.
The reason why we use escort agencies, Craigslist is entirely a no-no a lot of times. People are getting killed, and escort agency, how it works is if I go out on a job, once I get to my destination, I call there. They know I'm there. Once I go in and meet with the customer, if I move to another location or they want to move me, I got to call the escort agency. That's the difference about using an escort agency and doing a freelance. Freelance, you're going to wind up somewhere dead.
Huh.
Stephen's mother finds a pass to a gated community on Hilton Head in Stephen's car. The police reach out to the gentleman.
How did you meet Stephen?
So he had placed an ad on Craigslist. So
Oh,
I
wow.
responded to it. And so he met me I guess it was the evening of June 28th.
Okay. You're not going to be in any trouble for how you answer this question, but for this, was any money exchanged?
No.
Okay. About how many times did you talk to him prior to that to plan the meeting?
I think we only texted that day.
Wow.
I would never do any harm to anybody, but I know there are some crazy people out there. So I don't do this kind of thing very often, but I just, you read about some bad things that happen once in a while.
I don't think that this man had anything to do with Stephen's death, but this shows that he was not only posting, but actually following through and meeting up with people as well. Craigslist has actually taken down this section of their website because it was just too dangerous for people. 2 weeks leading up to Stephen's death, he was acting out of character and coming home late. The night of his death, he was out at 3 a.m. Could Stephen's death have been a Craigslist meetup gone wrong? It seems like a real possibility.
And that's what I asked myself when I started hearing about this. Especially when the sister Jessica was basically confirming this part of the story. And if it's, like what Mark says, if freelance, you could end up dead somewhere. The agency, there's a reason they do it through an agency for protection. So that could, could it have been somebody that, it was a customer or whatever you want to call that, and that took place. And they're the ones that placed the body there or such. Sorry, I'm just trying to hurry up to hit that time limit.
He said that he was being harassed at that store. Babu. He said it was a couple of guys in a pickup truck. He said they were rednecks. The last time we talked, that night, before the phone went.
Okay, I want you to pay attention to this part. 2 guys in a truck, rednecks.
It was a couple of guys in a pickup truck. He said they were rednecks. The last time we talked, that night, before the phone went down, I heard big mud tires. Big mud tires.
Huh.
In December of 2015.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes if you want to make any comments about what we watched about the escort stuff, and then we'll be moving on to the next theory.
CJ?
Yeah, what's up?
Was that Mark saying that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Mark was the last person that he was in contact with. Didn't his mom find paper with axe cuts? Yeah, that's what they just said. They said that they found a slip in his car. I don't know if it was the mom that found it, but they said that they found a slip in his car, a pass from Hilton Head. And so that's the gentleman that they just talked to that said that he met him on the 28th and they just started contacting each other that day. So that was the person that he visited in Hilton Head.
Sandy is the one that found that
Is she?
pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the same store that Paul bought beer. Interesting, because listen what's coming up here. And this is Sean Connolly.
In December of 2015,
the one I'm talking
5
about.
months after Stephen's death, a Hampton police officer reaches out to the highway patrol. He has some new information about Stephen's death. I'm going to put up a graphic for this conversation because unlike rumor trains we have seen before, this one is relatively short and the relationships are pretty strong. This doesn't guarantee that this is true, but in my opinion, it gives it a little bit more credibility when you really understand where it's coming from.
Exactly. A lot more credibility. Escort thing would make sense as who Mark would be calling. That's what so what do you mean? Like he's calling the service to confirm? Or somebody he knows? Go ahead and explain more about that in chat, Cherry Cherry. Curious what you mean.
Sergeant again.
Sorry again, this is Corporal Duncan with the Highway Patrol.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good. I'm calling you in reference to, I believe somebody come to you about the case we have there in Hampton County, and I believe this come from, is it a Darren? Is that correct?
It's Daryl.
Daryl? Okay.
Yep.
Do you know Daryl?
He is my stepdad, technically. Daryl was dating Patrick's mama.
Okay.
So Patrick's basically, he just looked at him as a father figure. He'd take him fishing and hunting and things of that such. So.
Okay. Can you tell me what was told to you? We've tried to get in touch with Patrick, but he's kind of avoiding the call, the contact, and all.
This is so interesting.
Daryl called me and he said, "Look, this is what I was told. Patrick, come over here to the house. He told me that Sean was drunk and hit something. He said he went back the next day to see what it was he had hit, and he seen a lot of police out there. And then he learned, I guess by media, that somebody had been killed in that same area. That's why the police were there. He said that Sean called him crying, saying that that's what had happened.
Okay.
And then Patrick was telling Daryl, and Daryl told me that Patrick was crying, telling him, and after he got finished telling the story, he walked outside his house and threw up.
Love you.
Ain't that crazy? Sean, according to Patrick, well, according to Daryl, which is Patrick's stepdad, Patrick was talking to Daryl about how Sean had called Patrick himself about allegedly hitting something on Sandy Run Road. Went back the next day to see what he hit. Noticed a bunch of LE around and avoided the area, stating he hit something when he was driving home really drunk. Now, I'm going to go back to Google Maps, and I'm going to show you something, and this is why I have this pinned as a location. Because this is where Patrick was going home. Sandy Run Road is technically, this is Sandy Run Road, okay? But the SR25, see how it's S25-43 until it hits this intersection or Y section with Joe Miley Road, which is S25-38. So once these two connect, then this road still stays Sandy Run Road, but it also converts to S-25-38. This is where the location of the body was found, right here.
CJ.
Yes?
Can you share it?
Oh, shoot. It didn't switch. I don't know why. It's been doing that for like a week or two now. I hit switch and it just doesn't do it, and then I'm thinking it's already switched. Sorry about that. All right. Whoops. I did not mean to move that. Hold on. Okay. So right here is where Stephen's body was found, okay? This road right here, Joe Miley Road, is S-25-38. This is S-25-38. Sandy Run Road is right here, right? Sandy Run Road. This is Sandy Run Road, but it's a different county road. So once it hits this Y intersection, it switches, still says Sandy Run Road, but then switches to the county road of Joe Miley Road. I know it might be tricky. Now, here's the interesting thing. What Patrick is telling his stepdad, Daryl, is that Sean told Patrick that he hit something on Sandy Run Road when he was going home. This pinned location is where Sean was going home. So if he hit something on Sandy Run Road while he was going home, he went home, woke up the next day, according to what Patrick says Sean told him, woke up the next day, drove back down over here to see what he hit, noticed a bunch of LE there, and then avoided the area. So it is plausible with what is being said right now.
I think that Patrick was with him. He said, why else would he throw up and get all upset like that? Because somebody else had done something.
Right.
And so that could have been a story Patrick was trying to come up with when he was telling his stepdad, I wasn't there, but this is what Sean told me. When really, why are you going to tell your stepdad what you just told him? Basically, Sean called me crying, said he hit something, went back the next day to see what he hit, and then he noticed a bunch of LE. Why would you then all of a sudden be bawling your eyes out and have to walk out the door to go puke in the yard? Unless because maybe you're talking about the crime taking place and you're having visions of what actually took place. And so that's making you throw up. That's what came to my head when I was listening to this earlier at work. I'm going to go to chat real quick. Anything you guys want to add? And if he was involved with a prominent name, maybe why Mark made a phone call. Interesting, Dre. That is an interesting thought. Sean threw up. Sean's the one that threw up. Daryl was having a conversation with Officer. Daryl was telling Officer what Patrick was telling him. And so Patrick was saying what Sean was telling him, but explaining the stuff to Daryl. And then after Patrick was done talking to Daryl about it, he walked out the door and puked as he was crying. No. The car was 3 miles from his body in the opposite direction of the closest gas station. I don't know why everybody keeps thinking it's 3 miles from the gas station. He was found the other direction of the closest gas station. So if he was, we'll go back to the map. So they're basically saying the closest gas station was up here and he was walking in the opposite direction. 3 miles from the car, 3 miles from his dad's residence is where his body was found. 3 miles from dad's residence, 3 miles from the vehicle. If it's in the opposite direction of the closest gas station, the closest gas station would be up this way. So we can make sure everybody is clear. All right.
Right. Did he go into any detail about how it happened? And supposedly
he had fixed his mirror. He had patched one of the mirrors up on the truck.
Okay, all right.
That sounds so
good. They try to
good.
reach out to Daryl and even go looking for Patrick, but are unable to connect with either of them.
Had a couple people out looking for Patrick. Do you know any other way we can contact him?
Mike can get a number. I'm not positive. I can't say that he would answer.
Right.
This one audio interview and a single paragraph in the case notes are the only things made available in the case files that I got from Highway Patrol. I decided to do some digging on my own. I checked out Patrick's accounts first. His Facebook only went back to 2019, but his Instagram went back to August of 2015, 1 month after Stephen was found dead. I did find this timing interesting. Either he just happened to create an Instagram 1 month after Stephen died, or he deleted everything from the time Stephen died and back. As I kept looking through Sean's social media, I noticed that he hung out at a farm quite a bit. I remember there was a farm less than a mile down the road from where Stephen's body was found.
And he does have social media, still posting stuff. It's not something I'm going to show, but he does still have social media out there. He's still posting pictures of farm shit and all that stuff, and it just makes you go, dude, if you really are involved, you're just chilling way too damn much, bro. Well, if Sean believed he hit a person that crying could end him puke, that he was with, no, Sean was, okay, Sean wasn't the one that puked. It was Patrick. Patrick puked after he was telling his stepdad, Daryl, the story of Sean.
Oh, I thought it was Sean that puked.
No. So Officer sat Daryl down. An officer and Daryl were having a conversation. And Daryl was telling Officer, here, let me skip it back to the thing. Okay.
Daryl thought Patrick had something to do with it, right?
No.
Oh. I thought that's what I heard.
No, he just said it. He just said it was odd that he walked out and he was crying, and after he was done telling him the story of Sean, he walked out and puked. Walked out the door and puked. So what took place, and you can go back to the 2 hour and 36 minute of this episode, and it'll go to the beginning of everything that we're talking about. So Officer Jin had Daryl for a sit down. Okay? Daryl is the stepdad of Patrick. So Daryl contacted Officer Jin because of a story that Patrick had told him. And the story that Patrick had told Daryl that he's telling Officer Jin is that Patrick was telling him, Sean called me crying because he hit something on Sandy Run Road, and while he was drunk and he was coming home. So then he says, Patrick continues to tell the story to Daryl and says, so Sean told me he woke up the next day to go back to see what he might have hit the night before. And then that's when he noticed, as he was coming up to the scene, that's when he noticed the LE were there. And so after Patrick was done telling Daryl this story, Patrick, as he's crying and upset, walks out of the door and pukes. And that's what Daryl told Officer Jin.
Okay.
And so now what we're saying is why would Patrick puke and cry while telling the story of his friend? Like, okay,
he
I
had
get it.
There with him.
Or maybe you realize that your friend hit a person, and I could see you crying, but puking? I don't see you puking if you realize your friend accidentally hit somebody. I could see you crying, but I can't see you puking. And the only way I can see you puking is as you're telling the story, and whatever bullshit it might be, as you're telling the story, you're really remembering the real shit that was going on. And the real images of everything that was going on. And even though you're telling some BS because you know you have to save your ass, you're still remembering the shit that really happened, and that's what's making you upset to your stomach to the point where you have to walk outside and puke in the fucking grass.
Right.
The mirror or a jacked up truck is about where a gash of... Ooh, that's a good idea, Cherry. Wow. Yeah, with them big silver chrome mirrors, huh? Hanging off the sides. Oh my gosh. I don't know, though. You would think if a vehicle's coming that... I don't know.
Well, they have what you call Carolina squatter trucks.
What is
Have you
that?
ever heard of that?
No. Carolina
They have
squatter?
Carolina squatter trucks. That's where the front end of the truck is up so high. You just can't believe they can see to drive. The front end is jacked up.
Oh.
It's
Interesting.
ridiculous.
How long has that been a thing?
Oh, I guess it's been a thing. I guess they what is it called? Where they passed the law you can't do it in North Carolina, but you can still do it in South Carolina for now.
I don't know. I'm looking at pictures of it right now. That'd be kind of hard to try and...
That's how they drive them here.
No, but what I'm saying is I don't see that vehicle being associated. How hard would it be? Let me zoom in on one of them. How hard would it be to like hit somebody that close with your mirror off the side of the truck and your vehicle, like you said, they're surprised they can see over the windshield. Oh my gosh, these frickin' pop-ups. Oh my gosh, are you serious? Pop up with everything. Well, this is the closest we can get. If you can see this picture, I don't see how somebody could drive one of these trucks and connect with somebody close enough with them. I mean, that you almost have to be looking out a sunroof. So I'm thinking of a jacked up truck that's got some big chrome, Pam, like Pam says, extended mirrors, like some big chrome extended mirrors hanging off the side.
Right.
Yeah. That'd be tough to try and... Yeah, you're right. How are you supposed to... What if you got a kid that runs in front of you at the last second? How are you supposed to see the kid?
Yeah.
Man, some people puke when they cry from nasal drainage, but... Okay. I mean, that's true. But that's not what I was thinking. I'm thinking there's a reason. All right, I'm going to go back to this here.
I might can get a number. I'm not positive. I can't say that he would answer.
Right. This one audio interview and a single paragraph in the case notes are the only things made available in the case files that I got from Highway Patrol. I decided to do some digging on my own. I checked out Patrick's accounts first. His Facebook only went back to 2019, but his Instagram went back to August of 2015, 1 month after Stephen was found dead. I did find this timing interesting. Either he just happened to create an Instagram 1 month after Stephen died, or he deleted everything from the time Stephen died and back. As I kept looking through Sean's social media, I noticed that he hung out at a farm quite a bit. I remember there was a farm less than a mile down the road from where Stephen's body was found. The police even had a quick interview with the owner, a farmer named Mr. McMillan. Here's what it said. We then went to McMillan Farms on the same road, and Lieutenant Corporal Rowell and I spoke with Mr. McMillan.
See, and that's the location that I have up on the Google map, okay? That's literally, and then here's where the road splits into a Y section and goes off to the left. It's underneath that big cloud. So it's literally right down the road.
McMillan, who runs the farm. After speaking with Mr. McMillan, he advised his trucks weren't running at this particular time since there was no grain to haul. Could this be the same farm that Sean seems to spend so much time at? It seemed like a long shot as there's so much farmland in that area, but I decided to try and figure it out. The first thing I noticed was most of Sean's photos at the farm are in Crocketville. Crocketville is a small area outside of Hampton where Stephen's body was found. I then came across this photo with the hash.
So there's the truck, but it doesn't have extended mirrors. So if there's a truck that you're talking about, just let me know if you send me the picture or the article, and I'll definitely look it up.
Hashtag McMillan Farms. Okay, so we know he spends time at that farm.
Yes, he does.
Then I came across this picture of Sean and his grandfather. Turns out Sean's grandfather is Mr. McMillan, the man that the police spoke to the day Stephen died, less than a mile from the crime scene. Let me be clear here. None of this proves that Sean was involved in Stephen's death. But looking at all of the evidence together, it does seem like this angle should be investigated much further. The last thing that we need to explore when looking at this theory is the timing of it.
We got this back on December the 9th, and we've had a couple people out looking for Patrick.
Remember last episode when I said a tip came in about Xavier and Buster being involved in Stephen's death? This tip came in on December 7th. The tip about Sean came in 2 days later on December 9th. Not much was going on 5 months after his death, so the timing of these makes me wonder if they are connected somehow. I can think of 3 reasons these tips came in so close together. 1, it really just is a coincidence, and they had nothing to do with each other. 2, the tip about Xavier and Buster was real, and potentially the Murdochs got Daryl to make up the Sean story to throw the police off. Or 3, the tip about Patrick and Sean is real, and the anonymous tip about Xavier and Buster is the one that was put in to throw the police off.
Those are some good questions right there. I'm going to do that one more time. And I should have a poll about it sometime.
Sean's story to throw the police off. Or 3, the last thing that we need to explore when looking at this theory is the timing of it.
We got this back on December the 9th, and we've had a couple people out looking for Patrick.
Remember last episode when I said a tip came in about Xavier and Buster being involved in Stephen's death? This tip came in on December 7th. The tip about Sean came in 2 days later on December 9th. Not much was going on 5 months after his death, so the timing of these makes me wonder if they are connected somehow. I can think of 3 reasons these tips came in so close together. 1, it really just is a coincidence, and they had nothing to do with each other. 2, the tip about Xavier and Buster was real, and potentially the Murdochs got Daryl to make up the Sean story to throw the police off. Or 3, the tip about Patrick and Sean is real, and the anonymous tip about Xavier and Buster is the one that was put in to throw the police off.
So, anonymous tip about Xavier and Buster. That's a good question, isn't it? Which is it? The anonymous tip about Xavier and Buster, which seems credible to me after we went through the connections and then the whole Xavier conversation. But then at the same time, the Daryl tip to Officer Jen about Patrick and Sean, that seems very credible too.
Plus, Sean was so drunk he didn't remember what he hit. That's why he went back the next day. So maybe somebody put it in Sean's head that it was Stephen.
Well, Stephen was found right down from his house, and he knew he hit something on that road right as he was going home.
But if he hit something, then his
So he
shoes
would
would
have
be
to know.
you know.
You would think, but what? I mean, hell, you can. Who says that's where? This is what I was kind of repeating earlier when it came to this theory about Sean and Patrick. Was who says that's where he was hit and run? Who says his shoes weren't put back on him? Maybe that's why his shoes were loosely tied and not tied all the way. Because what I'm thinking of is if it is a hit and run, right? You're not going to leave you're not going to take his shoes with you. You're not going to leave his shoes wherever they did end up if you hit and ran in another location, because then that leaves evidence of the hit and run being in a different location, which might possibly show damage to a vehicle because of what got cleaned up or what didn't get cleaned up because of small particles that Ellie would discover. So you would want to take the shoes if you did hit and run in a different location. You would want to take the shoes. You would want to put them back on. But who says that you were going to tie them? Maybe in the
I don't
rush, in
know.
the hurry. That's why he was found on his knees. That's why
I don't
his
know.
body was in different parts of each road.
Yeah. I just don't see him being hit by a vehicle and being right in the center of the road. I just don't see that.
I'm saying if it's a hit and run, because there's two theories here. There's two theories. One theory is that he was, beaten up, harassed, beaten up.
Yeah.
And then another theory is this hit and run with Sean. So if we're looking at it as a hit and run, then I'm looking at it as I don't think it was a hit and run at that location because there was no evidence of a hit and run. And if you don't have evidence of a hit and run, then how are you supposed to tie it back to anybody? You do have evidence of a hit and run if it's in a different location, but nobody's going to associate the evidence of the hit and run in a different location because they're not even knowing about the different location because they're not knowing to look there. And the way that his body was found, if it is a hit and run, he was found on his knees, which doesn't make sense. That makes sense like it's staged. The shoes being on, they didn't want evidence left somewhere else of a hit and run somewhere else. And the way that his body was positioned, if it was positioned to where some of his body was on one side of the road, some of his body was on the other side of the road, and they were just hoping that somebody was going to go by and connect, so it led more to the theory that it was a hit and run, even though there wasn't any evidence to show that, other than he was lying on the road, which is the only reason the pathologist says that they stated that they came up with the hit and run as a cause of death. Not that there was evidence of a hit and run, but just because the body was found in the middle of the road. But I don't know which one is.
I hate to cut this, but
no, I know
time
it's
for me
late.
to go sleep.
I know it's late. I'm still gonna keep going. So, if you guys have to come back to the replay, please do. I know it's a lot, but I'm trying to do the best that I can and give Stephen the justice that he deserves, and get Sandy, whatever answers she can have. Thank you so much for hopping up tonight. I appreciate it, Kid Kitty.
No problem.
Hope you have a good evening. Thank you so much. And if anybody else,
good night.
Thank you. Good night. If anybody else would like to hop up here with me, you're more than welcome. I'm not sure what happened to Kevin. He must have forgot he was on mute, or maybe he was busy doing some work or something. Or maybe he just fell asleep, man. But yeah, if anybody else would like to hop up, you're more than welcome. And this is an interesting question. Which tip? I think I'll put a poll out tomorrow. Leave it up for a couple days and see what people think. Xavier Buster, Patrick Sean. Maybe I'll make a short video out of it tomorrow since I have the day off. I'll make a short video about it, put a poll up. I want to see what people think. It's interesting because both of them to me make sense. Both of them, it makes sense. Both of them.
We don't know how long it took for Daryl to contact the police after Patrick told him about Sean. So it's totally possible that Daryl and Patrick's conversation took place before the Buster and Xavier tip was put in. There was one sentence in the police notes about the Sean tip that I can't quite wrap my head around. The last sentence in the report says this: Daryl stated that the reason he was passing this information on was because Randy Murdoch told him to call. What does this mean? There is no...
Hold on a minute. Daryl states to Officer Jin that the reason he was passing the information on was because Randy Murdaugh told him to.
Around. The last sentence in the report says this: Daryl stated that the reason he was passing this information on was because Randy Murdoch told him to call. What does this mean? There is no explanation for the context of this, and there was no audio recording of Daryl speaking with an officer. Did Daryl reach out to Randy Murdoch for advice after Patrick told him about Sean, and Randy told him to call the police?
Interesting.
Or could this mean something else?
Like it was planted information to deflect. Wow. This is like back and forth. You know what I'm saying, guys? This is back and forth. It's like, wait a minute, huh? What? Wait, oh, no, hold on, what?
I have no idea. So could the death of Stephen Smith be related to the murder of Paul and Maggie Murdoch? I actually think it's possible. And I have a theory that connects the boating accident, the death of Stephen, and the murder of Paul and Maggie together. Looking through Sean's profiles, I saw that around the time of Stephen's death, he was best friends with someone we have seen in this story before, Anthony Cook. Sean and Patrick were friends with Anthony, Connor, and Paul.
Wow.
I'll be covering that theory in the next episode, which will partially cover the death of Paul and Maggie Murdoch. One thing that I want to address in this episode is how important it is to presume innocence until proven guilty.
Which is very true. And I'm going to switch to that next one. It's going to be the last video that we're going to be going over. And we won't be going through this whole next episode. It's just going to be a little bit of it. Let me see here. All right, here we go. It is crazy.
The last 4 episodes, we looked at a boating accident in Beaufort, South Carolina.
You know, and Pam, that is very true. They ruled that area, and that is going to be a future episode. Not with the Stephen Smith's case, but it's going to be an episode on its own in the Murdaugh Murders series that I'm making. And it's going to actually be about that. And I actually, you know what? Maybe I can reach out to Susanne and see if we can have that as a topic on another show in the future about that area and how they ruled that area and such. Since she's from the community, she's from the area, I'm going to have to reach out to Susanne and see if she'd like to do a show in the future about that topic. I think she'd have some amazing information.
As well as a mysterious death on Sandy Run Road near Hampton, South Carolina. Could these deaths be linked to the murder of Paul and Maggie Murdoch? Before we dive into how these events could be connected, let's quickly recap what we have covered so far. The Murdoch family has been practicing law in South Carolina for over 100 years, and 3 generations of Murdochs served as solicitors from 1920 until 2005.
Over 100 years. That's what I'm saying. Generations this goes back.
Randolph Murdaugh III's son, Alec, was married to Maggie, and they had 2 kids together, Buster and Paul. In July of 2015, Stephen Smith was found dead in the middle of Sandy Run Road near Hampton, South Carolina.
This collision occurred approximately at night. As far as evidence here, there is only evidence of where the body was found.
And they're like, did you know the Murdaugh boys are behind it? You know, saying Buster Murdaugh, the one we went to school with, did it, and some of his friends.
You want me to bend over backwards? You want me to do whatever you need me to do? I'm telling you, I'm not the one.
Sean was drunk and hit something.
Okay.
Daryl told me that Patrick was crying, telling him, and after he got finished telling the story, he walked outside his house and threw up.
Fast forward a few years to February of 2019, when 6 people aboard the Murdaugh's boat crashed into a bridge in Beaufort, South Carolina, resulting in the death of Mallory Beach. Aboard the boat were Paul Murdaugh and his girlfriend Morgan, Connor Cook and his girlfriend Miley, and Connor's cousin Anthony Cook with his girlfriend Mallory. Looking at the evidence, I believe it was unclear who was driving the boat, but Paul was charged and was pleading not guilty to 2 felony charges of boating under the influence resulting in bodily harm and 1 felony charge of boating under the influence resulting in death. At the time of Paul's death in June of 2021, he was waiting on a trial date to be set. It was a warm summer night in rural South Carolina when Alec Murdaugh pulled into a 1,700-acre hunting lodge. The family called this property Moselle and were actually using it as their main home at the time. That night, Alec had been at the hospital visiting his sick father, Randolph Murdaugh III. It was around 10 p.m. when he got home, and when his son and wife didn't meet him at the door, he decided to check and see if maybe they were down at the kennels tending to the hunting dogs. What Alec found when he arrived was a horrific scene. His 22-year-old son, Paul, had been shot twice with a shotgun, once in the shoulder and once in the head. And his 52-year-old wife, Maggie, had been shot multiple times with a rifle. The time is 10:07 p.m. when Alec calls 911. The entire call is about 7 minutes, but we've cut out a lot of dead space for this video.
It's Alec Murdaugh. Maggie and Paul.
Oh. Police arrived shortly after and secured the scene. Unlike the 2 other events that we have covered, the investigation into this case has very little info that's been made available to the public. Here's what we know at the time of recording this episode. The coroner determined the time of death to be between 9 and 9:30 p.m., so Alec discovered the body shortly after the murders took place. Maggie's phone was looking at this incident is the fact that Paul lived in Columbia, South Carolina at the time.
Okay, so I'm going to take a look at this map here real quick. So Columbia is all the way up here. And so it's all taking place right there. St. Andrews is right there. So this is actually inside the middle of the state then. Okay.
He spent most of his time there, some of it at the Moselle property,
What's up, Caspi?
some of it at the River House near Beaufort, and some of it at the house on Edisto Beach. The Murdaugh family had multiple properties.
Yeah, this is...
So it's...
Yeah, this is probably going to be another 4-hour episode. And then I'll try to get back to the 3-hour or 2.5, you know. There's so much to cover.
And at the time of recording this, nearly 6 months after the murders took place, law enforcement has made almost no information available to the public. I've been doing some speculating in the series, but I've been trying to keep it reasonable and be responsible about it. Some of my personal thoughts I've left out of these videos because I didn't feel like there was enough evidence to support them. This episode is going to be a little different. In order to cover there has been speculation that the murders of Paul and Maggie were somehow retaliation for the death of Stephen Smith. In my opinion, this doesn't really make any sense, Buster was the one potentially implicated in...
Cassie, since you're joining, a half hour ago, we were exploring other theories about, or it might have been longer, maybe 45 minutes. We were exploring another theory that involved Officer Jen, Daryl, Patrick, and Sean. So if you weren't chilling and listening, definitely you'll want to go back to where you see the video, when you're scrolling through in the thumbnail and you see the white picture with the 4 names going from left to right: Officer Jen, Daryl, Patrick, and Sean. Now we're exploring back to the Buster theory when it comes to Stephen Smith's case.
The death of Stephen, not Paul or Maggie. In addition, I've met Stephen's mother, Sandy, and I know...
And I'm sorry, this is going to be another 4 hour. We're going to get it back to 2.5, 3 hours. I'm going to try my hardest to get it back there. I just have to keep all of this voice message, voice recording, and other theories in one video, and then the next video we'll be moving on to the next part of the series after that. This is going to be a good series. Thank you, everybody, for all your help and all your company.
People who actually know her, and she really is the sweetest lady. Stephen's mother was questioned by the police and nothing came of it. Stephen's father passed away in 2015, years before the murders of Paul and Maggie. There's honestly not much to cover here. We do know the investigation into Stephen Smith was reopened based on information received while investigating the murders of Paul and Maggie.
Right, and was it a bat now? Because there was a bat at the property. It's only 8:20 there. Rock on, Cassie. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. All right, back to back. And again, I'll throw out the link. If anybody wants to hop up, you're more than welcome. I'll be on for another 35 minutes.
But I think that might tie into another theory. When I first heard about the murder of Paul and Maggie, it was told to me in the context of the boating accident. My roommate John, who's actually been helping me with these videos, came home and said, "Did you hear what happened to the guy who was driving the boat when Mallory Beach died? Him and his mother were shot." It's easy to speculate that their deaths were revenge killings for Mallory's death, whether that be from Mallory's boyfriend Anthony or from Mallory's family. Here's what we know. All of the parties involved in the boating accident voluntarily submitted to questioning, as well as provided DNA samples. We don't have recordings of the interviews available, as this is an ongoing case. Mallory's family came out with this statement via their lawyers after the murders of Paul and Maggie. This is what it said. The Beach family extends its deepest and warmest sympathies to the Murdaugh family during this terrible time. Having suffered the devastating loss of their own daughter, the family prays that the Murdaughs can find some level of peace from this tragic loss. They would like the family and the community to know that their thoughts and continued prayers are with the Murdaughs. It is their most sincere hope that someone will come forward and cooperate with the authorities so that the perpetrator of these senseless crimes can be brought to justice. In an interview with Paul's uncles, they share that Paul had been receiving death threats. While Paul had not been found guilty in court, as a local, I can confidently say that he had been found guilty in the court of public opinion, and locally he was pretty well disliked. The fact that he was receiving death threats doesn't surprise me at all. There's a small possibility that his death was a result of locals taking action into their own hands, but at this time there's no evidence to support that.
Probably, Cassie.
We know that the investigation into the death of Stephen Smith was reopened because of information received while investigating the murders of Paul and Maggie, but we don't know what that information is. Remember Sean and Patrick from the previous episode? Let's get to know them a little better.
As far as Patrick goes, what do you feel about Patrick?
As far as a good-hearted person, I think he is, but I think he's a little...
Is he shady? Yeah, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be. Put words in your mouth. Don't get wrong, but
he is. But I think he's.
Received while investigating Sean and Patrick from the previous episode. Let's get to know them a little better.
As far as Patrick goes, what do you feel about Patrick?
As far as a good-hearted person, I think he is, but I think he's a little.
Is he shady? Yeah, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be, put
Patrick?
words in your mouth. Don't get me wrong, but that's best.
So he's basically saying Patrick's real shady in his opinion. And Patrick was the one that supposedly walked out the door and fucking threw up in the grass, okay? But that's supposedly speculation, because then we heard later on that Daryl told Officer Jin, well, the only reason that I'm giving you this information is because Randy Murdaugh told me to. What's up, Ava? You're all good? What are you cooking? Send us a picture if you're comfy about with what you're cooking. I'm starving. I'm gonna have some food after the show's over, but you gotta do work before you get the meals. You gotta get the work done first.
That's the way I describe people sometimes when.
Well, that was the word I had in my mind, but I was trying to think of a better way to put it.
I understand.
His real dad is not a outstanding society member.
Been arrested before?
Yeah, and I think he's in some drugs and stuff like that. So
do you think Patrick, does he have a criminal background?
He was charged with attempted murder, but I'm not exactly.
Whoa. What the hell? Let me rewind that.
Well, that was the word I had in my mind, but I was trying to think of a better way to put it.
I understand.
His real dad is not a outstanding society member.
Been arrested, before?
Yeah, and I think he's in some drugs and stuff like that. So
do you think Patrick, does he have a criminal background?
He was charged with attempted murder, but I'm not exactly sure what the circumstances behind that was. I want to say that was one of them times that they may have charged him a higher charge to work their way down.
Yes, sir. I understand.
He's a little shady.
Okay.
Attempted murder? We need to get that file. So they're saying Patrick was charged with attempted murder, but that it might have been a larger charge so they could work their way down and still charge him what they wanted to charge him with. That's very interesting. Attempted murder. We need to get some information on that.
That's probably the perfect word to use.
Okay.
In 2015, Patrick lost his temper and shot at a vehicle with people inside.
Wow.
Sean was with him at the time.
Wow.
Patrick was charged with attempted murder, but the charges ended up being dropped. Just a few months later, their names are brought up in the death of Stephen Smith. At that time, Patrick and Sean were friends with Paul, Anthony, and Connor.
Wow.
Here's the theory. Let's say some combination of this friend group were present the night that Stephen Smith died. And because they were all friends, this entire group knew about what happened that night. Fast forward to the boating accident.
Wow, what do you guys think about that? This entire group. Anthony, Sean, Patrick, Paul, Connor. Good night, everybody that's hopping off. Thank you, everybody that's hopping in. I appreciate it. And if you're on replay and you're not subbed, please do if I earned it. And please don't forget to hit that like button, because it's always the free way to help all of us content creators out. It really does make a difference. And it's free. Sorry the details are overloading. It's even overloading my Rolodex memory, but you know what? It's I've been doing some mental organizing as the show's going on, so don't worry. Thank you, ATS. Ooh, brownies for all, yum. So don't worry. It may be overloaded for you, but it's getting stuck in this Rolodex. And I got a whole bunch of organizing to do on my night off tomorrow night. And we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. So really, I'm even going to go through this episode again tomorrow while I'm at work and take notes of my own shit. So there's just so much that involves this case. I apologize again for my episodes going almost 4 hours or more than 4 hours. We'll be getting back into the 2.5, 3 hours. There's just so much to cover with this case, and I want to make sure that I do it the right way, with all the information, so we can really, just we need to make sense of this, because this is so freaking crazy, and the mom's getting book deals and movie deals, and she's like, no, I don't want any of that. I just want answers. And so I feel like I need to do my part and give it everything that I have, and that's why I've been going 4 hours, 4.5, and all that. So I apologize. The streams have been long. I know that I know it's a lot, but it's something that, just with the way that everything went down, and the kind of atmosphere that the mother is around, just from the community knowing but not saying, seems like Ellie, there's a cover up. The way that somebody took her son away from her, and the way that it happened, it's like she's existing in a really thick atmosphere, and I just feel so bad for her. So I just want to do everything that I can do to try and help make sense of this shit, because you know what I'm saying. Like, there's certain things that maybe Susanne Andrews can't say, or other people can't say, because they don't want to jeopardize, which I totally understand, and I appreciate where they're coming from. But it's up to us to maybe plant some of these plausible theories and put them out there, because you never know, this plausible theory could be the trigger in someone's head that goes, shit, I need to say something. I know, it's crazy. Yeah, don't feel alone. Right? Thank you, everybody, for hopping in. Yeah, this is an interesting theory, too. And by the way, if you do want to go to the replay, and I'm going to be putting the timestamp in the description, but if you do go to the replay, here, let me go to my notes real quick. Just go to... Go to the 49-minute mark of the stream. And then at the 49-minute mark is where we start getting into all these different theories. This is an episode where it's based off of all the different theories. We went through all the voice messages and all the conversations that Corporal Duncan and Officer Jin had with a lot of these individuals. So this is totally just an episode to just dig into all these possible scenarios and theories and players that are involved or could be involved. I sleep with the fishes regularly. Subtitle: I'm badass, mofo. All right, we'll get back to this. This is almost done. And then I'll just kind of hang out for a minute. And then we'll close her down for the evening. I have the night off tomorrow night, but I'll be back Thursday night. And yeah, we need to see this attempted murder with Patrick. We need to look up. We need the coroner report. We need the incident report, and that's what we need for the next show. And we need to look up Xavier. We need to look up Xavier as well. So those are the 4 things that we'll need for the next show. All right, we'll get back to this video. Thank you again, everybody, for hanging out this whole time, or whether you're coming back on replay. I appreciate your company and your patience.
What happened that night. Fast forward to the boating accident. Paul is charged and awaiting a trial date to be set. He's under a lot of pressure and tells the friend group, if you don't come forward and say that I wasn't driving the boat, I'm going to come forward about what really happened to Stephen Smith. Patrick and Sean weren't even on the boat that night in 2019.
Word to use.
Okay.
Patrick lost his temper and shot at a vehicle with people inside. Sean was with him at the time. Patrick was charged with attempted murder, but the charges ended up being dropped. Just a few months later, their names are brought up in the death of Stephen Smith. At that time, Patrick and Sean were friends with Paul, Anthony, and Connor. Here's the theory. Let's say some combination of this friend group were present the night that Stephen Smith died. And because they were all friends, this entire group knew about what happened that night. Fast forward to the boating accident. Paul is charged and awaiting a trial date to be set. He's under a lot of pressure and tells the friend group, if you don't come forward and say that I wasn't driving the boat, I'm going to come forward about what really happened to Stephen Smith. Patrick and Sean weren't even on the boat that night in 2019, but if Anthony or Connor didn't come forward about what happened that night. Fast forward to the boating accident. Paul is charged and awaiting a trial date to be set. He's under a lot of pressure and tells the friend group, if you don't come forward and say that I wasn't driving the boat, I'm going to come forward about what really happened to Stephen Smith. Patrick and Sean weren't even on the boat that night in 2019, but if Anthony or Connor didn't come forward to clear Paul's name, Patrick, Sean, and whoever else was there the night that Stephen died would be implicated in the death of Stephen Smith.
Wow.
This theory doesn't assert how Stephen died, whether it was some sort of accident or on purpose. It also doesn't assert that Paul was or wasn't driving the boat. Whether he was driving or not, he could still make the threat for the others to come forward and clear his name. The core of this theory is that Paul was killed to keep the truth from coming out about what happened the night Stephen Smith died.
Wow.
So how much evidence is there to support this theory? I'm going to be honest, there's not much, but there isn't much evidence to support any theory. And as someone who has spent tons of time researching this case, I just couldn't shake this one.
I have not, Pam, and I don't know. For some reason, I don't need to, and it's crazy because I'm drinking.
At the end of the day, we do know that 2 people lost their lives. This was said about Maggie Murdoch in her obituary. Maggie graduated from the University of South Carolina in 1991, where she met her husband, Alec. She was a member of Kappa Delta sorority and has kept in touch with many of these friends over the years. Maggie and Alec raised their 2 sons in Hampton, South Carolina, and enjoyed spending their summers at their beach house in Edisto.
All right, that'll be it for that video. And I'm going to go ahead and share this again. What are we up to now? 3,152. Susie. Oh my gosh. What happened to sound? What, the sound for the video? Crap, the sound for the video went out? Where at? And then I'll just replay that. wherever it went out. Just let me know where it went out. Hate crime bill for South Carolina in memory of Stephen Smith. Hashtag stand in for Stephen. Susanne Andrews is the one leading the cause for that. And we had her on last night. Oh, look at that. Awesome. She's getting even more. I appreciate you guys. She is the one that is fighting for this. It passed the House. Now it's moving on to the Senate. This is her. Oh, shoot. Did that link go through? I might have to cut off the HTTP. I forgot. 1 second. Let me put the... And I'll put the link to the petition here in chat again. This is Susanne Andrews. If you're on Twitter, go ahead and give her a follow and retweet these, please, because it needs to be out there. She'll be going to the Senate soon. I had already discussed with her about having her on for another show after that Senate hearing takes place, so we can discuss it and talk about it and see what she says and, you know, have more of her message get out, because that's what it's about. So if you can, here's the petition again. Anybody can sign it. So if you haven't yet, please do. Can you share the link to your family and friends? We got to get 5,000 signatures. At least. And you don't have to necessarily live in South Carolina, but if you do, please contact your local senators. Express to them how much you care about this and how much it needs to be passed. And remind them it's a hate crime bill. This is a hate crime bill. And Susanne feels that that's one of the reasons maybe why it's not. Thank you. I appreciate that, Justice. Feels that one of the reasons why it's not is because they're saying just because the gentleman was gay doesn't mean it's a gay hate crime bill. It's a hate crime bill for any religion, sex, race, gender. It's for anybody. So it doesn't make sense why them and Wyoming are the only two states that don't have one. So if you care about this case, you care about the hate crime bill, please just go sign it. And Susanne last night said it'll say donation when, for some reason, when you're going to, you don't have to donate. Just sign it. I already signed it. It literally takes a second. And you don't have to donate, but for some reason it comes up with a donation thing and she's not sure why. So it just is something that comes with the fundraiser, I suppose. I have to be careful. I don't want to... Whatever, Justice. So yes, if you could please sign that, share it with your friends, your family. Anybody can sign it, but more importantly, South Carolinians, sign that, and then also call your local senators. It already passed through the House. Again, it's just getting held up in the Senate. And also, please go follow Susanne Andrews on Twitter. She was the one that held the fundraiser. They were trying to just raise 4. They got 40. And they were able to get this amazing headstone, not only for Stephen, but for his father as well. That was an awesome job. So definitely retweet those. All right, everybody. I'll go ahead and put this back up as I'm talking. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you hanging out tonight. Sorry these have been so long, but it needs to be out there. And with how humble the mom is, She deserves nothing but the answers, and the correct answers, the truthful answers, the answers that need to be said. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's say some prayers. Let's wish upon some stars that are shooting through the sky. And let's just keep trying every single day to try and keep this out there. And to try and get some kind of justice for this family, this community, and all the loved ones that are involved with this. Isn't that interesting, Pam? That is correct. Yes. That is correct. Thank you so much, everybody. And please share that interview. Like and share that interview with Susanne. What an amazing person. I hope to have her on again. I can't wait to have her on again. I even invited her and her boyfriend to join us in Jackbox some night. Wouldn't that be fun? Have Susanne and her boyfriend be a contestant in our game show some night. All right, everybody. Which one? Well, we'll get into that in the next episode. Yes, we need the information. We need the links. We'll be doing another show coming up on Thursday. But if something else, I know we've been hitting this up for a few days. If something else comes through, I'm going to be doing a lot of prep tomorrow. I haven't done that much prep the last couple days with the for the open topics or whatever I'm saying. I haven't done that kind of prep for the last couple days, so I'll be catching up on that tomorrow. I'll be going through some different things with the graphics of the show and such, and then I'm going to be making an outline of notes when it comes to all of this stuff that we went over and that we've gone over. I'm going to get my notes organized, and also I'm going to go through the interview, sit back and watch it, and then write down all the questions that were asked during the interview. And then that way I can, whenever Susanne and I would have a sit down just for questions or whatever, a question episode where I ask some questions and I open it up to the chat. That way I can make sure that I ask the questions that were in the interview that I wasn't able to ask. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. The senators have personally. Yes. Interesting. I love you guys. I love you guys. And then you keep talking about food too. Enjoy your goodies. Enjoy your food. I'm about to enjoy some myself. Good night, everybody. I can't wait to see you Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central. And thank you all so much for your help. I appreciate you. I'm going to miss you tomorrow.